The main character receives an invitation where she is called Lady, which causes her internal resentment and a feeling of pressure due to the expectations of society. As she leaves, she reflects irritably on how the role of lady is alien to her. Ariana is tired of the imposed obligations that no longer seem funny to her. Wearing a wide-brimmed hat, Ariana wonders how much longer she will have to endure this role. She feels trapped in expectations that are not her own. Rumors are spreading behind her back that Ariana is the angelic daughter of Count Borns and is helping the children at the orphanage. She doesn't like these rumors. She irritably rejects talk of herself as angelic. Ariana does not want to live up to these idealized expectations and refuses the imposed role. Memories take her back 8 years. She wanders barefoot in a long nightgown, feeling helpless and hungry in cold, strange rooms. Ariana sees herself lying on the floor in despair, surrounded by luxury and excess, which only emphasize her inner emptiness. She remembers being unhappy and alone. Amidst the gold and wealth, Ariana felt like a prisoner, misunderstood and helpless. She remembers the portrait of her father, Count Borns, who held her like a commodity, his cold gaze heightening her sense of imprisonment. Her father did not interfere when the servants abused her, starved her until wounds appeared on her body. She screamed, but heard only silence. Ariana faces ridicule from the maids, who abuse their power, humiliating her and enjoying their superiority. Hungry and alone, Ariana hides away and dreams of food on her birthday. But even on this day, she is not allowed to rejoice. The maid brings a cake and congratulates Ariana with a fake smile. She is surprised and does not believe that such displays of attention are possible in her life. The maid reminds Ariana of her future in high society and the need to eat well. She takes this as another reproach. Embarrassed by the attention, Ariana thanks the maids, hiding her tears. She is not used to being cared for and is not sure if this care is sincere or just another game. The manager intervenes and strictly forbids Ariana to eat anything, reminding her of the strict rules and high demands. She realizes that even on her birthday, she can't break the rules. Clenching her fists, she wonders, is it okay to live like this? The maids mockingly ask if this is Ariana's first cake and point out that she doesn't know how to eat it. Ariana silently endures their barbs. They promise to feed her, but Ariana sees lies and mockery behind their smiles. Feeling humiliated and helpless, one of the maids holds out a spoon with strawberries, pretending to care, but Ariana understands that it is all just a show. The main character notices a strange cake and discovers that instead of filling, it has dirt. She is shocked to realize that this was done on purpose. She wonders why they did this to her, remembering past humiliations. The dirt in the cake symbolizes another cruelty. The senior maid mockingly asks how the delicacy is, and it becomes clear to Ariana that it is her doing. For the first time, deciding on a desperate act, Ariana grabs the maid by the hair, filled with anger and a sense of injustice. The maid screams in pain and surprise, her confidence instantly giving way to fear. For the first time, she feels like a victim. In a panic, the maid turns to Count Borns, Ariana's father, complaining and blaming her, confident that he will take her side. The Count watches with fury, demanding an explanation. His face expresses disappointment and anger. The maid accuses Ariana of aggression, trying to evoke the Count's sympathy, but her excuses sound pathetic. The Count, enraged, accuses the maid of undermining his authority and is not going to tolerate such behavior. The Count orders the maid to be taken away. She realizes that her position has collapsed, and her gaze is filled with fear and despair. Count Borns' daughter is surprised at how quickly everything has been resolved. She begins to understand why she felt lost, but now she gains clarity and confidence. Realizing her power, Ariana decides to take control of her abilities. This moment becomes a turning point, and she decides to take her destiny into her own hands. She decides to pretend to be obedient, playing the role created by Count Borns. This will give her a chance to use all the opportunities to achieve her goals. Reflecting on the present, Ariana realizes that the money in the carriage is not the most important thing. Luxury no longer has the same meaning for her. Now she realizes that she doesn't have to brag about her possessions. The black carriage with the coat of arms symbolizes her new attitude to modesty. The young aristocrat feels embarrassed, realizing that showing weakness could damage her reputation. She decides to hide her vulnerability. Count Borns is delighted to announce that he has found the perfect marriage partner, Ariana remains wary despite his enthusiasm. Ariana's mother is delighted and wants to know what kind of family her future groom is from. She wants to understand what kind of union they are going to make. After overhearing the conversation, Ariana learns that they want to sell her to the prince as his mistress. She is shocked and decides to fight for her freedom. She is outraged that the prince has already taken a fifth mistress. Her eyes show disappointment and anger at his frivolity. The main character, indignant, calls the prince perverted. Madeline warns that this is dangerous, but Ariana is too irritated by his behavior. Sitting in a relaxed pose, Ariana thinks about the future, wondering if it is worth being the prince's mistress with his reputation and fickleness. She begins to think about other plans. Politics attracts her more than wedding preparations and playing at love with the prince. Ariana decides, when the wedding preparations begin, she will take the money and run away to escape the trap of intrigue. But as Ariana thinks deeper, she realizes that escaping will be more difficult than expected. Her plan will require caution and careful preparation. Ariana admits that she has no concrete plan for escape. Everything remains at the level of fantasy. She understands that to take revenge on the Count, a well-thought-out and patient plan is needed. She and Madeline study the files of unmarried men. Madeline does an excellent job, and Ariana praises her among the candidates. Ariana finds one suitable for her purposes. Having chosen one candidate, Ariana discards the rest of the files. She is confident in her choice and is ready to act for freedom and revenge. At the ball, Ariana is constrained by her corset, making it difficult to breathe and move. She is indignant when her waist becomes a source of pride, considering such standards vulgar. The main character feels like her angel image is being imposed from the outside, and this makes her dissatisfied. She doesn't like to live up to other people's expectations. In the carriage, Ariana is irritated by the uncomfortable corset. She mentally curses the tailor for causing her discomfort and is tempted to express her displeasure to him. She even thinks that if she met the tailor, she could deal with him for the suffering he caused her without holding back her anger. Count Borns and Ariana make a grand entrance to the ball, attracting everyone's attention. But Ariana looks sullen, clearly unhappy with what is happening. Guests whisper about her beauty. Doubting her angelic image, Ariana attracts attention. But behind her appearance, there is something sharp and rebellious. Those present notice that behind her beauty, there is something more daring than just a gentle image. They see in her a challenge, not humility. The Count steps away to greet the Crown Prince, leaving Ariana alone. He warns her to remain quiet, emphasizing his control. Ariana, left alone, is glad to avoid small talk. She agrees with the Count, wishing him luck in his affairs. The man claims to have composed poems dedicated to her beauty, creating the feeling that she is being watched and admired for her appearance. The young aristocrat feels like a puppet, looked at only for her appearance. She understands that those around her are trying to control her life. Upon seeing Lady Proud, Ariana intervenes decisively in the situation, asking a question and drawing attention to herself, demonstrating confidence and status. She greets Lady Proud, expressing joy at the meeting and admiration for her beauty, emphasizing her status and confidence. She politely says that it is a great honor for her to meet such an important person, but her reserve is slightly broken by the unexpected pressure. Lady Proud criticizes Ariana's dress, calling it vulgar for a bride, and comparing her to the prince's mistress, which humiliates Ariana. Shocked by the harsh words, Ariana does not understand why she is being accused of trying to get attention in this way. The main character can't stand the pressure and falls to her knees, sobbing. She feels humiliated and crushed by Lady Proud's words. Lady Proud is surprised by Ariana's reaction, wondering what caused such a strong emotional reaction, and excuses herself by saying she did nothing special. Ariana begins to think that her father was right, and she is not yet ready for society and its pressure. She doubts her own strength. Lady Proud continues to instruct Ariana, emphasizing the importance of proper behavior and appearance, advising her to reconsider her style. Lady Cotenopen sneaks up on Lady Proud at the ball, teasing her. Proud is embarrassed and unsure how to react to the attention. Cotenopen continues to tease Proud, leaning in closer and making the situation awkward. Proud is shocked and confused by the unexpected pressure. Lady Proud tries to justify herself to Cotenopen, but her words sound uncertain. She is trying to resolve an awkward situation. Kotonopen confidently declares that she is too young to be wrong, adding to Proud's discomfort, who cannot hide her anxiety. Proud explains that she was only talking about preferences and didn't mean anything, but Kotonopen takes over, and Proud is at a loss. Kotonopen accuses Proud of calling His Highness's tastes vulgar, putting her in a difficult position. Proud tries to justify herself and maintain her dignity, but her words sound like a desperate attempt to get out of the situation while everyone is watching. A young noblewoman, in a foul mood, watches the scene, irritated by what is happening. Her expression shows disapproval of Kotonopen's behavior and the ongoing drama. Reflecting, Ariana wonders how one can become famous only because of one's appearance. In this, she sees a resemblance to herself, remaining on the sidelines. Count Borns searches for Ariana in the hall. Next to him, her future husband with golden hair impatiently awaits her appearance, calling her his goddess. The future husband, captivated by the image of Ariana, considers her an angel who will bring light into his life. He dreams of meeting her. Duke Shart, with his black hair, enters the hall. Impressing everyone, Ariana, full of determination, meets his gaze. She explains that she chose Duke Shart because of his title, wealth, and connection to the second prince, making him ideal for her plans. Her goal is to get to the second prince, and she is determined to achieve this. This is not just a desire, but an obligation for which she is ready to go to the end. The Duke, struck by Ariana's persistence, does not understand her motives. He looks at her with suspicion, unaccustomed to such pressure. The main character invites Duke Shart to her place in the evening, intriguing him with her confidence and mystery. He agrees, although he does not understand her intentions. When the Duke tries to speak, Ariana interrupts him and introduces herself as Ariana Borns. He is struck by her directness and confidence. She emphasizes her passion for deals and intrigue, inherited from her father, and declares that she is ready to do anything for her goals. As Ariana finishes her speech, her words ring out as a challenge, and the Duke realizes that she is a force to be reckoned with. Count Borns' daughter openly declares to the Duke that she wants her freedom and the Count's downfall, showing her willingness to fight for her goals despite the risks. The Duke is hesitant and asks why he should accept her offer. Ariana confidently asserts that he will not be able to resist her conditions. Ariana shows the Duke a white handkerchief, which he will hang by the window as a signal, emphasizing his strategy and determination in every step. The conversation is over, and Ariana, without waiting for the Duke's response, calmly turns and leaves. Leaving him in thought, she shows her independence and strength, leaving with confidence in her actions, despite the tension of the situation. She runs into a young maid who accidentally dropped a tray. The maid apologizes in a panic, fearing the consequences. Ariana, showing unexpected kindness, calms the girl down, smiling and asking if she is hurt, thus diffusing the situation. The main character continues to console the maid, who is worried about Ariana's ruined dress. Ariana says that it is just a dress and can always be replaced, showing that material things are not as important to her as human feelings. Ariana internally admits that her original plan to dirty her dress as an excuse to go home had failed, and now she was faced with the unexpected result of bringing tears to the maid. Realizing that her actions were more difficult than she had planned, Ariana begins to rethink her decisions. Her reflections reveal an internal struggle and willingness to learn from mistakes, adding depth to her character and motivations. The Duke asks Ariana if she is awake with a serious expression. He looks reserved and watches her reaction carefully, leaving a sense of wariness and hidden concern. The Duke apologizes, explaining that he knocked several times, but received no answer. His words are formal and polite, emphasizing his respect and caution in dealing with Ariana. The young noblewoman, in a comical mini-version, asks in surprise why she was not awakened. The Duke calmly explains that he would consider it rude, showing his concern for her comfort. But Ariana is unimpressed by his explanations. She realizes with irritation that the Duke has been simply looking at her the entire time, not daring to wake her. Her eyes express a mixture of displeasure and surprise, and the Duke, slightly embarrassed, promises to wait outside next time. The main character indignantly demands that next time she be simply woken up, without unnecessary ceremony. The Duke agrees to her demand, clearly realizing that she did not like his previous approach. The daughter of Count Borns invites the Duke to sit down and apologizes for keeping him. She demonstrates a willingness to get down to business and a desire to begin discussing important issues as soon as possible, not wanting to waste time on formalities. The young aristocrat, studying the Duke, ponders why his face seems so cold, whether it is an expression of emotion or simply natural severity. She tries to penetrate his thoughts, to understand the true intentions of the man in front of her. When Ariana suggests making a deal, a dark book appears on the table. This is a moment of growing tension, where it becomes clear to the viewer that something very important is being discussed, requiring both sides to be extremely focused and willing to compromise. The Duke looks at the book closely, wondering if it is a secret ledger. His gaze is curious and wary, hinting that the contents of the book may be related to secrets or important matters that affect both of them. Sitting on the sofa, the Duke looks relaxed but focused, waiting for further explanations from Ariana. Their conversation takes a more formal and businesslike turn, where every little detail can be decisive in this important dialogue. She, a refined and self-assured woman, sits on the sofa with a slight smile on her lips. She praises Duke Chart for his insight and expresses a willingness to discuss her terms, showing that she is serious. His lordship, with a dark and focused look, suspects Ariana of ulterior motives. He thinks that handing over the secret ledger may be a way to betray her father, and this makes him wary. The main character, without losing her composure, admits that she would not like to explain the reasons for her actions. However, she emphasizes the importance of trust and validity in the deal, making the Duke think. With a serious expression, Ariana decides to be honest with Duke Chart. She admits that her father intends to use her as a means to secure an advantageous marriage with the Crown Prince, which worries her. Despite this admission, Ariana seems to think that the Duke of Chart does not consider her problem to be significant. She emphasizes that it is very important to her, showing that the situation is much deeper for her than it may seem at first glance. With all her inner strength, Ariana makes a decisive statement. She does not intend to become anyone's mistress, wife, or property. Her eyes sparkle with determination, and she makes it clear that her freedom is priceless. The nobleman, realizing the seriousness of her intentions, tries to figure out what he needs to do to get that very ledger that he wants so much. He is ready to make a deal if it is mutually beneficial. Ariana, with a mysterious smile, he offers an unexpected option. Marriage. This proposal leaves Duke Chart stumped, but also intrigued, as it opens up new prospects for both. The Duke is clearly puzzled. Just recently, Ariana declared that she did not want to become someone's wife, and now she proposes marriage. Bewilderment appears in his eyes, but also some respect for her insight and courage. The young noblewoman confirms that he understood correctly, and adds that she is glad that he listened to her. Her words are filled with hidden meaning, and she clearly does not say everything to the end, leaving the Duke in suspense and anticipation of her next move. She told Chart firmly that she wanted a sham marriage. She had prepared a list of conditions, and there was an unshakable confidence in her words, as if this was the only right path they could take. Believing that the marriage would only last a year, Ariana intended to divorce after the term was up. She planned to avoid unnecessary complications by confidently explaining to the Duke that everything would be under control. Before getting down to business, Ariana said that there was one more important thing that needed to be done before she could get the ledger. The main character assured the Duke that when they parted, he would have to give her as much money as she needed for a comfortable life. No more, no less. She clearly counted on his nobility, but she also left no room for doubt. Chart thought about how her father would probably not allow this marriage. However, Ariana, smiling and full of confidence, informed him that they would actually do everything as needed, despite the possible obstacles. The daughter of Count Borns offered the only way out, knowing that her father would not agree if the situation did not seem serious enough to him. She was determined and confident that everything would go according to her scenario. She calmly suggested staging certain events to convince everyone of their seriousness. It was a plan in which every detail was thought out, and Ariana was ready to execute it perfectly. The Duke, though nervous, realized that Ariana had already thought of everything he knew, that this plan was their only chance, and though he was uneasy inside, he was ready to follow her plan. The young aristocrat assured him that all their actions, like the marriage itself, would be just a sham. She looked confidently into the future, knowing that she was in control of the situation and ready for any surprises. She added that if everything was done correctly, her father would never suspect them of deception. Ariana was confident that, despite all the obstacles, her plan would work flawlessly. She suggests that Duke Shart forget about the deal, reminding him that he is just one of the candidates. She displays confidence and disdain, as if putting him in his place in their conversation. The black-haired Duke explains that even if it is not for political purposes, like with the second prince, his father has made many enemies. He points out the complications that may arise from his family's actions. When the Duke attempts to take the book, Ariana stops him by placing her hand on his. She is clearly not prepared to give in to this confrontation so easily, insisting on her own terms. The protagonist smiles and reminds the Duke that since the deal was not made, the book will remain hers. Her expression shows a hidden threat, demonstrating that she intends to win this game. The Duke, covering his face with his hands, asks for a little time to think. His depressed state speaks of the seriousness of the situation and the internal conflict he is experiencing at this moment. Count Born's daughter reacts sharply, declaring that there are others who will agree to her terms. She vigorously pushes the book away, as if to emphasize her position and her inflexibility in this dispute. His lordship, still sitting across from Ariana, is aware that his refusal could affect his reputation. He looks away thoughtfully, clearly considering the consequences of his decisions. Ariana, surprised by the Duke's attentions, wonders if he has truly been thinking of her all this time. She begins to realize that perhaps his intentions are deeper than she thought. She assures the Duke that her father will take care of the rumors, because he is used to such situations. The Duke does not understand how one can get used to such criticism, expressing his bewilderment. The main character remembers the affair between the son of a poor baron and a noble lady, because of which her grandfather must have suffered a lot. She understands how strong the influence of such rumors is, and how it can affect the destinies of people. Ariana ponders the possible consequences if the two important figures had not entered into the marriage she is talking about. This question makes her think about how events might have developed and what might happen in the future. The nobleman agrees that Ariana's offer is very tempting. He admits that what she offers is of great importance, especially for his friend, the second prince, who needs important documents. The young noblewoman asks Shart if he is ready to agree to her terms. She is confident in her position and expects a clear answer from him. She looks at him expectantly, hoping to hear that he will accept her offer. The black-haired Duke, with a slight smile, confirms his consent, addressing Ariana with respect. He accepts her conditions and expresses his willingness to follow her proposal, understanding the importance of this step for their further cooperation. She notes that Shart has proven more cautious than she had expected. She is surprised by his circumspection and insight, and acknowledges this with some respect and interest in his approach. The Duke thanks Ariana for her compliment. He understands that their interaction requires great attention to detail, and appreciates that she acknowledges his efforts in this important matter. The main character reports that the agreement is made in triplicate, and each participant, including Shart's lawyer, will be given a copy. Shart confirms that he has no objections, indicating his willingness to act according to the agreement. Shart, slightly hesitant, asks Ariana what he should do next. His voice is serious, knowing that his next move will be crucial to the execution of their plan. Ariana says that now everything is in Shart's hands. She seems to relax, trusting him to complete their agreements, and hints that he should already know what to do next. His lordship understands his role and responsibility. His gaze becomes more determined, and he internally accepts the task that now rests on his shoulders. Ariana gives him complete confidence, expecting him to cope. Ariana and Duke Chart discuss the changes in their relationship. Ariana decides that she will call him by his first name, believing that there should be no formality between lovers. Her proposal brings them closer together, and it fills the scene with warmth. She agrees to Shart's proposal, and a new, closer understanding is established between them. She looks at the Duke with shining eyes, showing how important this change in their relationship is to her. In response to Ariana's decision, the Duke promises to also change his address to her Ariana, demonstrating her affection, bows slightly, and indicates that their relationship will now be less formal and more personal. In a fit of emotion, Ariana embraces the Duke, calling him Chart. This unexpected gesture surprises the Duke, but he does not push her away, showing that his feelings are mutual. The scene is filled with tenderness and slight awkwardness. The main character cheerfully says goodbye to the Duke, playfully pushing him to meet soon. Her joy and lightness show how much she enjoys their new, more intimate communication, in which there is no place for strict formalities. Elsewhere, two observers recognize the Duke and express surprise at his presence with Ariana. Their reaction highlights the unusual nature of the Duke's situation and suggests possible rumors that may spread. The daughter of Count Borns realizes that she has just been seen with Duke Chart. She knows that rumors will inevitably start now, but she accepts it as inevitable, believing that this is how it should be. Her reaction shows her confidence in her actions. In the castle, someone orders Ariana to be brought in immediately. The nervous tension is growing, and it seems that further events may take an unexpected turn, which causes anxiety and a premonition of upcoming trials. Angry at Chart, Ariana decides that next time she will have to act more harshly. She threatens to rip out all of his hair if a similar situation arises again. This demonstrates her character and determination, not to let things get out of her control. The young aristocrat sits on the edge of the bed, lost in thought. She calls for entry, and her intuition tells her that something important is about to happen. This final scene heightens the tension, leaving the reader in suspense for what will happen next. Count Borns, looking at Ariana with irritation, reproaches her for her inconsistency in behavior. At first, she seems obedient and quiet, but then she does something unpredictable. His gaze becomes threatening, discontent, and a hidden threat are read in it. The Count notices that despite her appearance, Ariana actually enjoys breaking the rules, which disappoints him even more. His eyes are cold and disdainful. He is dissatisfied with her behavior and considers her a disobedient cat who does everything her own way. The Count warns Ariana that as long as she is valuable, she should stay out of trouble. His warning sounds like a threat, and his figure blends into the darkness around him, emphasizing the danger and pressure he is putting on her. She kneels before the Count as he furiously demands to know what the Duke of Khan was doing in her room. His voice is full of suspicion and anger, and his footsteps down the hallway give the impression that he will not rest until he gets answers to his questions. The Count continues to blame Ariana, stating that he would have sold her to the highest bidder. But now that it is the Duke of Kong, he is still content with the deal. Ariana looks at him with despair, realizing that she is only valued as a commodity. The Count expresses disdain, reminding Ariana that her body still has some value, and so she should be glad she has not been written off as useless. These words hurt Ariana, but she hides her feelings, remaining outwardly calm. The Count insists that wherever Ariana is, and whoever she is with, she will always belong to the Borns family. The words sound like a brand, a reminder of her immutable fate, and a sinister smile flickers across his face. As he concludes his monologue, the Count orders his men to remove Ariana from his sight. His voice is cold and decisive, without a drop of compassion, and Ariana understands that she will have to fight for her freedom and the right to be herself for a long time. The protagonist is standing by the window, looking out thoughtfully, when a maid approaches her and tells her that Duke Chart is waiting for her outside. Ariana is lost in her thoughts, as if preparing for an important meeting for which she is not mentally prepared. Time has passed, and Ariana realizes that the Duke has been waiting for 3 days. She may be trying to process what has happened, and 3 days seems like a long time to make a big decision or take a break from stress. Ariana, with her eyes closed, reflects on the pressure she felt from her father. She recovers from the emotional impact, trying to find inner balance and take the next steps. The young aristocrat asks Madeline to bring her a shawl to prepare for the meeting. Madeline readily agrees, showing her loyalty and care for her mistress. Understanding the importance of the moment, she puts on a shawl and goes out onto the stairs, where she is met by the Duke of Chart. She descends with dignity and a little excitement, ready at last to see him and understand his intentions. His lordship meets Ariana with a confident look, replying that he did not have to wait long, although he had been waiting for 3 days. Ariana feels a mixture of relief and curiosity about what will happen next. The main character, smiling, replies that 3 days is not a long time to wait for a loved one, adding a romantic touch to their meeting. Her words are full of mystery and feelings that have yet to be revealed. Sitting across the table from the Duke, Ariana stares at him, uneasy and trying to figure out what she did wrong. Her anxiety is clear to see, and she wonders where she went wrong in trying to navigate her complicated relationship with the Duke. Count Born's daughter looks at Duke Chart with suspicion and anger, asking why he did this. It is clear that she is determined to sort out the situation, which she considers unfair. The nobleman looks puzzled and a little confused. He doesn't understand what Ariana is talking about, and his gaze expresses genuine bewilderment. Their conversation begins to gain momentum. The young aristocrat reminds Chart of the day he left her room. She is clearly upset and cannot contain her emotions, accusing him of breaking something important to her. The Duke calmly explains that he then went to her father with an offer he could not refuse. There is a confidence and calculation in his words, showing his determination in his actions. She is shocked by what she heard and asks again what proposal he was talking about. Confusion is visible in her eyes. She clearly did not expect such a turn of events and begins to doubt the Duke's sincerity. She realizes that the whole situation is about money and power. Ariana deduces that Chart must have offered a large sum of money to gain her father's consent, which leaves her deeply disappointed. The main character expresses her indignation that her father simply accepted this proposal without thinking about the consequences for her. She feels betrayed and deprived of the right to choose in this situation. The nobleman confirms Ariana's suspicions, explaining that he offered the diamond and emerald mines as part of the deal. His words sound confident, and he shows that he has a clear plan. Count Born's daughter is shocked to learn of this proposal. She is outraged that the Duke made a decision for both of them without asking her opinion. This is her compensation, not a subject for bargaining, which makes her angry and resentful. She tries to hide her emotions behind a smile, but hidden pain and disappointment are clearly visible in her eyes. Ariana wonders what the meaning of that sigh she involuntarily lets out in response to the Duke's actions is. A young noblewoman, sitting at the table, reminds Duke Chart of the diamond mine mentioned in the contract, wondering why there was a misunderstanding about it. The black-haired Duke, with slight doubt, replies that the contract does not specifically indicate which diamond mine is being discussed, hinting at possible hidden details. Thinking to himself, Chart comes to the conclusion that the owner may have even more mines than expected, and this begins to irritate and alarm him. The Duke reports that it was proposed that the diamond mine go to Ariana's father, and the emerald mine go to the crown prince, which was supposed to balance the interests of the parties. He explains that after their marriage, they will have to avoid the attentions of the prince, and Chart has suggested this deal to satisfy Ariana's father and keep the peace. She, stunned by Chart's words, wonders if he really cares about her that much, but then remembers that the Count will not give up his intentions until he gets what he wants. Chart notices that the day after the discussion, Ariana continued to avoid him for some reason, which makes him uneasy and suspicious. At this time, Ariana, trying to find the words, says that everything that happened should remain in the past, but notes that the transfer of the mine to the prince may not be beneficial for Charti. His lordship, remaining calm, assures her that there is no need to worry about it, as they will get the mine back later, showing his confidence and control over the situation. The main character ponders Chart's intentions, feeling confused and doubtful, but understands that until he achieves his goals, he will not refuse her support and will continue to play in the interests of both parties. Ariana, holding back her emotions, suspects that Duke Chart already sees the second prince on the throne, taking it for granted. Her cold gaze expresses deep doubts that she cannot hide, despite her calm face. The black-haired Duke confidently confirms her guess, emphasizing that this is the right decision that will benefit everyone, including Ariana herself. His words sound like a final verdict, and his expression remains unwavering. The young aristocrat indifferently declares that she does not care who becomes emperor. Her body sinks into the chair, as if the weight that has accumulated over the years has suddenly become unbearably heavy. She seeks solace in only one thought: fair compensation. Feeling the Duke's gaze, Ariana clarifies with a slight smile that the most important thing for her is a decent compensation. Her calm and light tone contrast with the cold calculation hidden behind these words, emphasizing her materialistic approach. The Duke notices the familiar expression of cold cynicism returning to Ariana's face. She herself admits this when she speaks of her materiality, and she makes no apologies for her views. She notices that men in the Empire tend to think only about the best possible outcomes, ignoring the worst-case scenarios. This optimism disgusts her as she understands the dangers of such one-sided thinking. She is frustrated that no one takes into account the possibility of failure, preferring to believe in ideal outcomes. These differences in worldviews lead to an even greater gap between her and the men around her. The main character, feeling unwell, asks the Duke to leave her alone so that she can rest. Her tired face reflects not only physical fatigue, but also the internal struggle she is going through. The Duke respectfully accepts her request, promising to visit her again when she has recovered. His tone softens, but he still maintains a businesslike distance, not wanting to interfere in her personal affairs. The daughter of Count Borns is left alone, lost in her thoughts, realizing that she must now decide what to do next. Her face is set in determination, and she knows that there is more at stake than just the throne. Ariana looks out the window, her gaze thoughtful and determined. She contemplates the game ahead, realizing that the road ahead is not easy, and prepares herself for any challenges that await her along the way. She recalls the words that the hardest part is behind her. However, her face reflects caution. She knows that she must always be prepared, because unexpected difficulties can appear at any moment. She lightly taps her fingers on the windowsill, as if trying to concentrate. Thoughts of mistakes and fears race through her mind. But Ariana knows that success is not the only goal to strive for. The main character catches a moment of doubt and decides that it is important to be prepared for anything, not relying only on luck. She prepares to face any difficulties that fate may bring. Duke Shart's memories take him back 10 years to a young boy just beginning to understand the weight of his legacy and his future role in this cruel world. An important person appears in the room, dictating his terms. Dissatisfied with the situation, he demands luxurious changes, emphasizing his power and desire to control all aspects around. A nobleman notices his stepfather, strong and confident, holding a bottle of wine. The gesture becomes a symbol of the expectations and pressures that surround their family relationship. The stepfather explains that this wine was made specifically to celebrate an important event, the coming of age of the Duke of Chart. The father wanted to share this moment with him, creating family traditions and bonds. His lordship watches as the man drinks the wine that has been stored for many years. But despite his expectations, he is disappointed, realizing that there is nothing special about the drink, just as there is nothing left in their family. The Duke realizes that traces of her father are gradually disappearing. He realizes that the duchy now belongs to Earl Wilson, and everything around him is changing. The new manager of the castle, confident in his power, continues to put everything in its place, finally erasing the past. Two people discuss the Duke's unexpected appearance at a certain place. One of them notes that the Duke could not resist the recommendations he was given. The skill of one of the interlocutors in manipulating the Duke's naive mistress is also emphasized. The two continue to discuss the situation, emphasizing that it was very easy to persuade that same mistress. They are sure that if she had been a duchess, and not just a mistress, the manipulation would have been even easier. A young boy overhears the conversation and learns that his father, a duke, was born out of wedlock. The other boys mock him, claiming that the title of duke was acquired out of wedlock and that it does not matter. The boy is shocked by what he hears. He realizes that his father was an illegitimate child, which calls into question his legal rights. This discovery causes him to struggle and doubt internally. The boy is told that it is absolutely impossible to claim that his father was murdered. The verdict has already been passed on the accident, and there is no proof. But doubts plague his mind, especially after the mention of a certain Lady Wilson. The boy is told that even if he had evidence, it would not be accepted because he is a minor, and the person helping him is a woman. In their society, such things are not taken into account, and they are legally powerless. He is made to understand that women and minors lack the legal rights to fight for justice. Moreover, the boy learns that his father was actually born before marriage, which further complicates the situation. Despite all this, he is comforted by the fact that his father was a worthy duke and that this is what he should remember. He is encouraged to focus on this aspect in order to cope with the unexpected truth. However, the boy is not free of doubts. He notices a contradiction in what he was told earlier. His father was illegitimate. Despite this, he is assured that this does not change anything. The boy is advised to come to terms with what is happening. Despite all the difficulties and injustices, he is told that his father is not guilty of anything, and he must remember this, accept the situation, and come to terms with it. A noble man confronts his stepfather, who furiously accuses him of betrayal and dismissal. Believing himself to be the victim of ingratitude, the scene is filled with tension and anger. The black-haired duke, standing with his back turned, ponders what his stepfather considers care. Images of betrayal float through his mind, sending his 15-year-old nephew off to war and assassination attempts with mercenaries and poisons. The stepfather panics, calling Shart's accusations slanderous, and demands his immediate release. However, Shart coolly orders him to be silent, assuring him that he has no intention of showing mercy. Shart's memories take him back 10 years to the murder of the previous Duke of Shart, a tragedy that set off a life of dark events and intrigue. The Duke learns from a deadly letter from the Emperor of the death of the previous Duke. The letter reveals dark secrets that shed light on the true motives and intrigues surrounding the murder. The letter also speaks of the liquidation of the county of Wilson in Harpian, symbolizing the end of an era of betrayal and intrigue. This event only strengthens Shart's resolve to avenge the past. Ariana, smiling and enjoying the sunny day, reflects on the beautiful weather and dreams of meeting her prince on a white horse. Her eyes are full of hope and expectation. The Duke of Shart arrives and greets Ariana, who happily accepts him, creating an atmosphere of warmth and bright hope for their future together. Their meeting symbolizes a new stage in their relationship. Shart apologizes for perhaps coming at an inopportune time, noting that Ariana was busy. However, she assures him that he arrived on time and that she was waiting for him, showing her devotion and joy at his visit. The young aristocrat greets Shart with a gentle smile, demonstrating her joy and sincerity. Their interaction highlights the trust and harmony that has developed between them, despite all the hardships and trials they have endured. Dressed in an elegant dress and a hat with flowers, she decisively pulls the Duke of Shart by the hand, exclaiming that they must go together. The Duke, slightly surprised by her assertiveness, wonders where exactly she is leading him. The main character announces with a smile that they are going on a date. She looks happy and playful, enjoying the moment, and her outfit and shining eyes emphasize her mood. She is full of energy and determination to spend this day unforgettable. The black-haired Duke asks in confusion if they really have a date today. Ariana, not losing her confidence, confirms that yes, they do. She steps out of the carriage in her bright image, enjoying the Duke's attention. The Duke asks with surprise when the decision about the date was made. Ariana answers with a smile that it was decided a few days ago. Her calm and gentleness in words show that for her, this decision has long been obvious. When Shart asks why he wasn't told about this beforehand, Ariana covers her mouth with a sweet and slightly mischievous smile. It's as if she's enjoying his moment of embarrassment, as if it was part of her plan. Ariana shares with the Duke that there is a festival in the capital today. Her eyes sparkle with anticipation, and a smile never leaves her face. She clearly expects this day to be special for both of them. With a hint of irritation in her voice, Ariana asks the Duke if couples don't go together to events like this. Her gaze is full of determination and defiance, and Shart is embarrassed by his mistake. The Duke, realizing his mistake, apologizes guiltily, admitting that he had not thought of it before. He looks embarrassed and a little confused. His image even takes on a slightly comical note. The young aristocrat calmly explains that in the letter, she asked him to set aside one day and pick her up, but apparently the letter never arrived. She does not blame him, but her calmness and confidence indicate that she knows how to control the situation. She says with a soft smile that this is not a real date. Her words sound calm, but there is a slight sadness in them. It is as if she wants to remind the Duke that their time together is just a game, despite all her sincerity and warmth. The Duke explains to Ariana that it is much more effective to appear together in public once than to simply announce the relationship. He is sure that this will create the right impression. Ariana, without thinking, asks where they will go. The main character enthusiastically replies that they are heading to the theater. She admits that she has never been to the theater before, and judging by her shining gaze, she is anticipating something new and interesting for herself. The Duke asks with surprise how it is possible that Ariana has never been to the theater. He suggests visiting the box belonging to Count Borns, making it clear that for her, it will be a special event. Ariana, looking around, notices that the box looks much larger than she expected. Her eyes are filled with amazement and slight anxiety. The sight of the theater and the box amazes her with their size and luxury. The Duke warns Ariana about the dangerous fences and suggests that she move to a safer place. Ariana immediately responds to his request, feeling care and attention in his words. The young aristocrat asks the Duke in surprise why he took her by the waist. His sudden and unexpected gesture causes mixed feelings in her. She is not used to such closeness, especially from such a reserved man as Charity. The Duke, remaining confident and calm, says that if she wants the word to spread about them correctly, she needs to do it the right way. He implies that their interactions need to look natural and believable. She stops the Duke abruptly when he tries to take off her hat. Indignantly, she asks him not to take other people's things without permission. She is clearly not used to such treatment, especially in relation to her personal things. The show begins, and Ariana and the Duke take their seats. The atmosphere of the theater fills them with exciting anticipations. Many eyes are focused on them, which confirms the correctness of the Duke's plan. With Ariana and the Duke out in public, rumors among the aristocrats begin to spread like wildfire. Ariana is pleased. The first point of the plan has been accomplished, and now she can relax a little. The main character, visibly agitated, reflects on how everything seemed different in the book, and even good actors couldn't convey the same emotions. She barely holds back tears, emphasizing the difference between reality and her expectations. Ariana decides to go and touch up her makeup, trying to look cool and collected. The Duke of Chart, sitting next to her, looks at her with mild surprise. She exudes confidence, although there are still traces of disappointment visible on her face. His lordship offers to walk Ariana home, but she refuses, assuring him that it is not far and that she can manage on her own. She demonstrates her independence, not wanting to show weakness in front of a man. The young aristocrat leaves the room, and a feeling of indignation overcomes her. She sarcastically remarks that even in hackneyed cliches, there are no such predictable turns, hinting at her disappointment with what is happening. As she leaves the room, Ariana is suddenly grabbed and pulled in the other direction. She panics, but tries not to give in to fear, cursing the moment she agreed to leave alone. She, already in an unknown place, runs into a stern man who turns out to be her kidnapper. She threatens him, promising that if even one bruise remains on her back, he will answer for it. Her anger and determination inspire fear. The kidnapper, standing in front of her, mocks her words and points out that she should have been more careful. He enjoys the moment, considering it a time for revenge, which only increases the tensions. The main character, without losing her composure, begins to guess the story of her kidnapper. She does this with cold confidence. Her words penetrate deeply, awakening fears and doubts in his eyes. She tells him how he first played for small amounts and then was convinced to participate in large bets where he lost everything. Ariana looks at him with disdain, realizing how he got into this situation. In her final words, Ariana recalls how, despite the high interest rates that Count Bornes demanded, he still borrowed the money and put everything on the line. The kidnapper is furious at her words, which not only reveal his weaknesses, but also make him vulnerable. The daughter of Count Bornes recalls how she first decided to go out into society and was in seventh heaven. However, her joy turns into bewilderment. What kind of chaos is going on around her? A disgruntled Ariana firmly tells someone, "Stop grumbling!" Her confidence and determination are emphasized by her posture, as if she is ready to face any obstacles. The second act of the performance begins, and the audience must take their seats. Ariana, seeing this announcement, is clearly irritated and shocked. Something is clearly interfering with her plans. The young aristocrat angrily blames someone. Because of him, she is late. She is obviously in a hurry and does not want to miss something important. It is no longer like her to be so irritated. Suddenly, Ariana remembers that she has no time to touch up her makeup and must act quickly. She is in a hurry, which emphasizes her unusual state of uncertainty. She thanks Shart, noting how special the cultural life is. Her calm face, with its slight smile, suggests that despite the difficulties, she still finds moments of joy. The main character dreams of becoming like the main character Alina. Her eyes are burning with dreams and inspiration. She is clearly delighted and strives for something more in her life. On a social outing, Ariana walks arm in arm with Duke Shart. Their presence causes admiration among passers-by, some calling her Angel Lady. Ariana finds solace in the Duke's company. Count Born's daughter screams, showing her surprise and indignation. She is outraged that someone enjoyed something that she believed was unavailable to her. Her emotions are at their limit. The young aristocrat says with hope in her voice that they will definitely come here again next time. Her expression reflects determination and anticipation of the new opportunities that await her. His lordship assures Ariana that she can now go to the theater at any time and that she should not worry. This concern on the part of the Duke underlines his sincere affection for Ariana, who does not yet understand the full depth of his feelings. Night falls, and Shart decides to take Ariana home. He is concerned about her safety, so he insists on taking her personally. This shows his caring nature and tenderness towards the girl, who is still a mystery to him. She suddenly realizes that the plans are changing to her disadvantage. She orders the carriage to be stopped and turned around. Her determination and emotional reaction to the changing situation demonstrates her strong character and desire to control what is happening. She boldly directs the coachman, pointing him to the right turn. At this moment, Ariana feels confident and enjoys the situation, realizing that even such trifles as the direction of the road depend on her decisions. However, her sudden desire to visit the night market arouses Shart's suspicions. He is concerned about her safety and the hidden motives behind this desire. His keen sense of duty to Ariana intensifies, forcing him to be on guard. During their walk, Ariana recalls how Shart shared with her his personal problems regarding his debts and the divorce process. This confession made her take a new look at this strong man, seeing him not only as an aristocrat, but also as a human being. The nobleman admits that that evening, under the influence of alcohol, he saw Ariana in a new light. His feelings became mixed, and he thought of her differently than before, which confused him, but forced him to acknowledge his growing feelings. He asks Ariana not to go far from him, expressing his concern and desire to be close. This was not just a request, but an open recognition of his need for her presence, which had become important and necessary for him. Despite Shart hiding the true reasons for his condition, Ariana sees everything and remains calm. Her behavior and reactions, not typical of an ordinary aristocratic lady, speak of her confidence and understanding of the situation, which amazes Shart. The main character suddenly realizes that she is no longer afraid of the night. Her inner changes surprise her, because before the darkness inspired fear in her, now she feels differently, which speaks of her inner growth and a new, previously unknown sense of confidence. Ariana, fascinated by the bright lights on the street, sees the city illuminated at night for the first time and cannot hide her admiration. Her eyes shine, reflecting the light, and it seems that she forgets everything around her, immersing herself in the magic of the moment. The nobleman, observing Ariana, is amazed by her ability to be so carefree and relaxed in an unfamiliar environment. He wonders why she cannot act so casually in everyday life, which causes him a slight concern. The young aristocrat, with a joyful smile and a sparkle in her eyes, suddenly turns to the Duke, asking if he has any money with him. Her sudden animation and boldness causes the Duke to be slightly perplexed, but he silently watches her behavior. Beaming with joy, Ariana enthusiastically offers the Duke something to buy, pointing to the bright lights and display windows. Her enthusiasm is so infectious that the Duke can't help but smile in response to her excitement and energy. The Duke, however, doubts that street food can be hygienic and safe. He looks at the aromatic kebabs with some distrust, wondering about the possible consequences of such a meal and hesitant to try it. The vendors at the market loudly advertise their wares, including kebabs for 5 silver and the latest sales for 2 silver. The hustle and bustle of the market contrasts with the Duke's internal contemplation of whether to trust such offers. The Duke begins to doubt whether he will be able to find anything worthwhile for an aristocrat like Ariana in this market. He is sure that the commoner's market will hardly satisfy her tastes and needs, but he continues to accompany her. She suddenly asks how much she can get for selling the amethyst, which causes another wave of bewilderment in the Duke. His suspicions grow stronger, and he begins to wonder about her intentions and the reasons for such strange behavior. The Duke, looking into Ariana's eyes, tries to understand what made her suddenly talk about money and selling jewelry. Her unexpected questions only add to his anxiety and suspicion. Leaning closer to the Duke, Ariana explains that she has warned the Count in advance of her plans to be with the Duke. Until this time, her quiet, confident voice seems strange to him, but he does not ask any further questions, continuing to follow her on this nightly adventure. The main character feels locked in her house because she can't even leave the gate without permission. Sometimes she is forbidden to leave the threshold, which makes her feel like a prisoner. She compares her life to the lives of others, in particular to a father who sends his daughter on a date without the slightest hesitation, without giving her any money, and realizes how unequal it all seems. On the street, Ariana meets an artist offering portraits for money. Intrigued by the offer, she decides to give it a try. Her eyes sparkle with the novelty of the opportunity, although she finds it difficult to decide. At this point, Duke Chart suddenly offers to take a portrait together, which slightly surprises Ariana. His confidence and offer leave her with mixed feelings. The black-haired Duke, aware that he has come to the meeting unprepared, takes on all expenses, including the cost of the portrait. It is a noble gesture that causes Ariana to feel inner unease and excitement. The Duke confidently plans to put the portrait on display, believing it will create more buzz. His determination and plan clearly go beyond a simple date, which confuses Ariana. Count Born's daughter doesn't understand why the Duke wants to pay. A voice inside her tells her that there is something more behind it. She wonders why he is so persistent. She fears that if she accepts his money, she will be met with rudeness or violence. Ariana thinks that if she takes the money, Chart will curse or even resort to physical aggression, but he denies such intentions. The Duke assures Ariana that he will never hurt her, showing her the sincerity of his words. This calms her down a little, and they continue their conversation against the backdrop of the calm evening city, beginning to understand each other better. The artist with a kind face is happy to have the opportunity to paint a portrait of Ariana and the Duke of Chart. He is sincerely delighted by their beauty and considers it an honor to capture these two people in a painting. His smile conveys deep satisfaction from the work done. Chart, examining the paintings, suggests that the small portraits be kept for himself and the larger ones put on display. His gaze is calm, and he is clearly pleased with the process of creating art, trying to emphasize the importance of these works to others. The young aristocrat holds a drawing of herself and the Duke, but she is not impressed by the result. She thinks that the portrait is not as good as expected, and this upsets her a little. She becomes increasingly frustrated with the drawing and decides that it would be better to invite a famous artist to her home to draw them better. She cannot believe that the result is so bad. His lordship, seeing her reaction, offers to take the painting for himself, but Ariana is not going to put up with it. She insists that it is she who must keep this portrait, showing unexpected persistence. Rumors about Ariana are growing. Two ladies discuss her secret life. They heard that the lady hardly leaves the palace, but she volunteers at an orphanage every week. This adds to her mysterious image in the eyes of society. The women whisper to each other, wondering who the tall man next to Ariana is. One of them suggests that it is the Duke of Chart, which only adds to the intrigue surrounding their relationship and causes even more speculation. The black-haired Duke and Ariana enjoy the evening sky together. Ariana admits to herself that the night is truly beautiful, At this moment, there is a sense of closeness between them. They look especially harmonious next to each other. Those around them begin to notice that Ariana and the Duke are truly together. Their tender embraces and warm glances leave no doubt about the feelings they have for each other, causing admiration among those watching. The main character reflects on how strict and cold she expected to see the Duke, but his unexpected softness and tenderness amazed her. Who would have thought that he would turn out to be such a person? The daughter of Count Borns is tired of pretending to be happy. Her smile is just a mask she has worn for a long time. It has become unbearable for her, and now she thinks about it, looking at the busy night market. At that moment, she notices Shart standing nearby. He is smiling too, but something in his eyes makes her wonder if his smile is as fake as her own. Suddenly, Ariana, with feigned cheerfulness, points to one of the goods in the market and declares that she wants to buy it. Her carefree tone clearly hides her fatigue. The nobleman reminds her with a slight grin that she has not yet reached adulthood. His remark sounds gentle, but he is not going to give in to her whims. The young aristocrat is outraged by this statement and exclaims that there are only 2 weeks left until she reaches adulthood. She adds that her peers have been drinking alcohol for a long time, which makes her unhappy. However, Shart remains unmoved and, smiling naively, refuses her request. Emphasizing his position, Ariana sees that his firmness is unwavering, and irritation flares up inside her. However, Shart promises to buy her what she wants, but only after she becomes an adult. This condition seems strict but fair, and Ariana silently accepts his decision. He asks why she came to the night market in the first place, his interest piqued by her strange behavior that doesn't match her usual image. She answers briefly, and somewhat thoughtfully, that she simply wanted to see the night market, as if in those bright lights and noise she was looking for something more. Perhaps an answer to the questions that torment her inside. She, with a slight smile, clarifies the conditions of the walk, mentioning that the only thing she is not allowed to do is drink beer. This underlines her playful attitude towards strict rules, which she is only half willing to follow. At the night market, Ariana points out something that has caught her eye with interest. Duke Shart stands silently nearby, as if he doesn't fully share her enthusiasm. Ariana is clearly full of energy and eager to try something new. She states decisively that she would like to try iced peach tea. She specifies her preference, specifying that the drink should be with crushed ice. Her attention to detail in such a simple matter leaves the Duke puzzled. The main character shows concern about her heels, which make it uncomfortable for her to stand in line, and this hints at her aristocratic origin. She is not used to such everyday inconveniences, which makes her even more charming. One of the local merchants is surprised by Ariana's unusual order. He understands that she is here for the first time and does not know the local traditions. This adds humor to the situation, showing her unfamiliarity with simple things. Seeing Shart's concern for her safety, Ariana offers to assign a guard to herself, adding that she is already accustomed to being constantly watched. She coquettishly plays on her independence and ability to cope with difficulties. The black-haired Duke addresses his servant Dale, ordering him to stay by Ariana's side. Showing his concern, Dale understands that his main job is to protect her, even if she doesn't realize it. When Ariana meets Dale, she notes with mild admiration his devotion to his master, a scene that highlights her kind and perceptive attitude towards others. Count Born's daughter reveals her cunning, telling him that she has commissioned the Duke to carry out several tasks. Her ability to manipulate events and direct them to her advantage adds charm to her image. She smiles and notes that she is used to being watched and given the attention that is given to her, hinting at her high status. Her self-confidence and willingness to accept support evoke respect and sympathy. The young aristocrat, the heroine with white hair, watches the world around her, feeling trapped in a golden cage. Everyone around her seems happy. They walk freely in the streets, but she is bound by family obligations. This feeling intensifies her inner conflict and sense of isolation. She feels that living in a rich family does not bring happiness because it deprives her of freedom. Ariana looks at those around her, envying their opportunities to walk without worries, and feels the full weight of her situation, devoid of ease. She thinks about money as a means of control. She realizes that she has never had complete freedom to manage her own money, and that her financial dependence has made her even more vulnerable in this world. Suddenly, this illusion of freedom changes. While Dale is distracted, Ariana is kidnapped, exploiting her inattention to her own finances and status. Her abduction causes anxiety, increasing the feeling of helplessness. During her kidnapping, Ariana remembers how money opens doors and gives her limitless opportunities. But at that moment, it becomes a symbol of limitation for her, since it cannot give her freedom back. When a kidnapper appears before her demanding money, she realizes that despite her status and wealth, she has nothing. Her condition symbolizes the loss of not only material resources, but also of herself. Reflecting on the situation, Ariana confronts the robber, showing that her external wealth does not matter to her. The moment is filled with tension and Ariana's inner determination not to give in to the pressure. The kidnapper is confused and angry, seeing that Ariana is not poor, but at the same time, she is not going to give in and give him something he was counting on. This increases the tension in their dialogue. The main character declares that she is penniless, a powerful statement that symbolizes her refusal to depend on wealth. She challenges her captors, asking what they are going to do next. Ariana, in full confidence that money cannot control her soul. The robbers, amazed by her courage, understand that they are faced with a person whom they cannot subdue with material means. The kidnappers threaten Ariana with punishment. One of the bandits promises that for every silver item found, the kidnappers will get a blow. This heats up the atmosphere, making everyone nervous. The young aristocrat, despite the threats, keeps her cool and asks the bandits what will happen if they don't find anything. Her calmness infuriates the kidnappers, creating tension between the parties. One of the bandits runs up to the boss with an expression of delight, indicating that they have stumbled upon something unexpected. There is a sense of anxiety in the air, and everyone awaits the boss's orders. The boss notes with a cold smile that Ariana, despite her beautiful face, seems crazy. He realizes that he is facing someone who is not afraid of death, which only adds to his irritation. She smirks at the boss, who doesn't look like much himself, hinting at his scar and his dangerous actions. She provokes him, making him doubt his actions, which causes him to have an internal conflict. The boss, not expecting this turn of events, remembers that he has met people like this before, those who think they can get away with anything. He grips his sword and decides it's time to show who's boss. He begins to speak harshly to Ariana, asking her if she thinks this is her home, and if she thinks her captors will serve her. Anger and uncertainty boil in his words, but Ariana does not give in. She answers with cold confidence that she was simply asking a question, without raising her voice. Her confidence in her rightness frightens and puzzles her captors, causing them to doubt their own actions. The boss explodes in rage, realizing that his power play has begun to crumble. He shouts that he didn't mean it that way, indicating that his plan is spiraling out of control. He realizes that he initially decided to use her beauty to have fun, but now he begins to realize that he was wrong in his assessment. Ariana turned out to be a much more dangerous opponent than he could have imagined. The main character has been kidnapped and ended up in the hands of human traffickers. The man orders his henchmen to hold her, emphasizing his power and confidence in the success of the plan. It is evident that his subordinate quickly agrees to carry out the order. The trafficker calmly admits that they are not only kidnapping, but also trafficking. Ariana is shocked by this admission, her face expressing contempt and disgust at such a horrible act. One of the henchmen reports to his boss that they have no connection with the Bournes, but confirms the fact of human trafficking as something self-evident, which does not raise any doubts in him. The daughter of Count Bournes coldly points a pistol at her assailant, showing no mercy or hesitation. Her actions clearly show that she is ready to end this crime without remorse. The gang leader ends up on the ground, apparently down. Ariana fires, but the bullet appears to miss, giving him a moment to realize his vulnerability. He begins to realize that his situation is critical. The man with the eye patch, panicking, realizes that they have made a grave mistake. He offers to let Ariana go, hoping to avoid the worst fate she could bring upon them. The young aristocrat smiles with an expression of cold calm, assuring that everything is under control. Her expression and confidence are frightening, and the opponents realize that they are facing someone much more dangerous than they expected. The bandit falls to his knees in horror, confessing his sins and begging for forgiveness. He fears that the consequences of their crime will lead to his death, and Ariana leaves them no choice. She emotionlessly orders them to leave, showing no sympathy. Despite his pleas, she remains adamant, and he realizes that their chance for salvation has already passed. With the danger over, Ariana decides it's time to return. Her determination and composure highlight that she not only survived this encounter, but emerged victorious, leaving no chance for her opponents. The Duke is alarmed when he hears gunshots nearby. He rushes to the place where Ariana might be to make sure she is safe. It is important for him to know if everything is all right, because she has become more than just a person to him. She looks at Shart and is surprised by his reaction. She did not expect that he would be so desperate to look for her. In her gaze, you can see not only surprise, but also the realization of the importance of what is happening between them. The Duke, coming closer, notices the worry in her eyes. He worries that she was worried about the book, but for him now, the most important thing is her well-being, not the objects. His concern becomes more and more obvious. The protagonist realizes that she means more to the Duke than he realizes. She wonders if her value to him is deeper than he realizes. Thoughts swirl in her head, and she begins to doubt her previous ideas about him. Shart, despite the fact that he considers his concern for her a formality, wonders, can a groom worry about his bride, even if it is just a formality? His feelings become more sincere, and this frightens him. Their eyes meet, and Ariana sees how worried he is about her. His hands are shaking as he tries to contain his emotions. He finds no reason to explain his concern, because he just wants to be near her, to protect her. Ariana, noticing the iced tea in the Duke's hands, realizes that it is only an echo of his inner struggle. He has lost his calm, but continues to show composure, although it is obvious to her that he is not there in her thoughts. His lordship, despite his fears, takes a step forward. He decides to stay by her side, although earlier he might have preferred to leave. Her safety is important to him, and this moment becomes a turning point for him. For Ariana, this manifestation of his care and sincerity is important. He tells her that it is a great honor for him to stand next to her, and in these words, she sees not only obligations, but also something more, the birth of a real feeling. Dale desperately asks for death. His condition shows how heavy his soul is. He is on his knees before Ariana, in complete confusion, and his plea is conveyed emotionally and tragically. Then there is a comical moment between Ariana and Dale, where she expresses her displeasure at his behavior. This shows the contrast between the seriousness of the situation and her reaction, which adds lightness and humor to the scene. The young aristocrat, realizing that Dale is serious, is clearly surprised by his request. At this point, even more questions arise, which makes her wonder about the depth of the problem and why he wants this so much. She offers to end the conversation by getting him off his knees. Ariana warns Dale that such actions in public could cause rumors, adding a slight element of irony to the overall atmosphere. She reminds Dale of the importance of bowing down to another person. This moment highlights the importance of social hierarchy and how behavior can affect their reputation, especially in such a society. She easily distracts Dale by suggesting that he forget about everything and just go have fun. This adds another contrast to her approach to solving serious problems by offering a simpler, more lighthearted solution. At this point, Ariana notices something on the counter and expresses an interest in handicrafts. This detail highlights her attention to detail and ability to find joy in simple things. The seller says that all the items are handmade and of excellent quality. He assures Ariana that the jewelry would suit even a noble lady, which emphasizes the respect for her status. The salesperson offers to pin the jewelry to her braided hair. This adds a moment of care and attention as the salesperson tries to please the distinguished client by offering a small but nice gesture. Although initially hesitant, Ariana decides to accept the gift. Her face expresses gratitude, and she accepts the seller's offer with a hint of politeness and gratitude. The main character, with white hair, asks Shart if her new hairpin looks nice. She expects praise, but her face reflects uncertainty about the sincerity of what she heard. The nobleman, noticing her doubt, insists that he is serious. He reminds her that the hairpin matches her favorite color, emphasizing the importance of the choice. The daughter of Count Borns tries to remember whether she was really attracted to this color, since childhood memories emerge where she always chose cold tones, following habits, and not her own preferences. In her thoughts, Ariana wonders if anyone understands her true desires. Her eyes are full of sadness, despite the appearance of a confident woman. She recalls moments when she was offered things that matched the image that others expected of her. But behind all these offers, there was no real understanding of her inner world. Suddenly, Ariana collides with someone in the crowd, and her hairpin falls to the ground. The moment she tries to pick it up, the hairpin gets caught under someone's boot and breaks. The sight of the crushed hairpin causes Ariana a sharp pain and frustration, a feeling that is heightened when she realizes that the accessory symbolized her attempts to live up to the expectations of others. The black-haired Duke notices her distress and comes closer to support her. He gently embraces her, asking if she is all right. Ariana, though surprised, finds comfort in his presence. She leans on his shoulder, feeling unexpected warmth. The moment of their closeness brings comfort and a reminder of the importance of real understanding and support. Despite her outward confidence, Ariana knew she needed more than just external approval, but a deep recognition of her true self. The hairpin was more than just an accessory. It was a symbol of her struggle for her own identity. The young aristocrat, holding her hairpin, looks around in surprise. She had recently put it on, but now the hairpin is broken, and this annoys her. This trifle has unexpectedly become the cause of her discontent. At the market, a little girl in a red cloak selling flowers is rudely called out by a man, demanding payment for her place. She looks at him in fear, not understanding why she should be paid when she just wanted to sell flowers. The man continues to demand money, looming over the girl menacingly. The frightened children around him only add fuel to the fire of his anger. The girl is confused and does not know how to respond, standing in front of him with a basket of flowers in her hands. She, watching what is happening, feels irritated not only by the broken hairpin, but also by the rude behavior of the man. Her gaze becomes darker as she tries to contain her emotions. She tells herself that getting angry won't solve the problem and she needs to calm down. Ariana reminds herself that she is an angel's daughter and tries to control her feelings so that she can act rationally. Pulling herself together, she decides to intervene. Ariana realizes that this is the right moment to fulfill her wish, to punish the one who unfairly offended the child. Her gaze becomes determined and calm. Approaching the girl, Ariana asks why she was helped. She knows that her intervention seems noble, but she wants to understand the man's true intentions. There is no remorse on his face, and Ariana watches his reaction carefully. She reveals her true motivation, admitting that her intervention was not so much out of a desire to help the children, but rather out of frustration over a broken hairpin. Her response is unexpected and leaves those around her surprised. The Duke, watching Ariana, with a slight grin, suggests that she will be upset if she is offered another hairpin. He is clearly touching her with a subtle hint, trying to understand how important this trifle is to her. The protagonist, stunned by Shart's words, suspiciously asks if he did it on purpose. She begins to realize that her feelings may have been used to achieve some goal, and this discovery causes a new wave of irritation and curiosity in her. The little girl excitedly offers a new hair ornament that she thinks will be perfect for the noble lady who has helped her. Her eyes glow with joy and delight, expressing gratitude and admiration. Shart, looking at the bouquet of flowers, notices that they are also blue. His gaze is soft and thoughtful, as if he is pondering something important, inhaling the scent of these flowers, and it brings back warm memories. Surrounded by flowers, Ariana is clearly enjoying the moment. She coquettishly teases her interlocutor for a compliment, and her easy smile and playful tone show that she doesn't need to be told how beautiful she is. It's obvious. His lordship returns to his mansion. Night has fallen, and in the silence, lit only by the moonlight, he is welcomed back. He feels calm and a sense of home, despite the cold, majestic appearance of the building. At the mansion, the butler notices a smile playing on the Duke's face, which makes him think that Shart has had a pleasant day. This surprises him, as the Duke usually does not show his emotions so openly. The nobleman, somewhat surprised by the attention to his mood, reflects on the events of the past day. He agrees that it was indeed a pleasant day, although he himself cannot quite understand why. Dancing with Ariana suddenly brings back memories. Their movements are harmonious, and Shart senses something strange about this girl that fascinates him. This feeling stirs long-forgotten emotions in him, filling his heart with warmth. Suddenly, a carrier pigeon appears at the window with a letter, which makes Shart think about its meaning. The letter may carry important news or a new assignment, and this slightly knocks him out of his thoughts about pleasant moments. The black-haired Duke decides to go to the palace, probably to sort out the contents of the letter or to discuss important matters. He puts on his cloak and confidently heads for the exit, and the butler, understanding his determination, silently follows him with his eyes, respecting his choice. Her friend approaches Ariana, full of anxiety and excitement, sharing the news she heard this morning. She is clearly worried because the news concerns her mistress and could have serious consequences. Ariana, half asleep, listens carefully. The assistant, surprised by what she heard, muses that despite their not-so-close relationship, she is still curious to know the details of the rumors circulating in the city. Her expression reflects a mixture of interest and caution. By telling Ariana that she heard people in town talking about her and the Duke of Caen this morning, Madeline intrigues her mistress even more. She clearly wants to share all the details she has learned. Along with the admiration and joy that people see Ariana and the Duke of Caen as a perfect couple, there are dreams and fantasies about how they might be made for each other. These rumors fuel public interest. The young aristocrat is satisfied. Her plan to spread rumors about her relationship with the Duke is working perfectly. She understands that this will distract attention from her other affairs and continues to develop her strategy. She is pleased that the attention to her person and the Duke will reduce suspicions and make it easier to carry out the fictitious marriage. In her head, a further plan is being built, where everything will lead to the desired divorce and compensation in a year. However, Madeline notices that along with the flattering rumors, there are also unflattering ones that could cast a shadow on Ariana's reputation. She is concerned about the possible consequences and tries to carefully convey this to the lady. Rumors are that Count Borns has found the Duke's weak point and is blackmailing him using the young lady's beauty. This is alarming news that could lead to trouble if not prevented. Ariana's companion, having finished her story, admits that good rumors prevail, but there is still a share of anxiety. She does not know how the lady will take this and hopes that it will not cause negative consequences. She remarks with a slight grin that if people think so, then so be it. Her confidence is unshakable, and she clearly intends to continue her manipulations, enjoying the situation. The main character admits that she did blackmail someone, confirming the truth of the rumors. Clutching the book in her hands, she realizes that her actions had serious consequences. Despite her doubts, she is confident in the correctness of her choice. Madeline brings a letter from the Duke of Caen, which leaves Ariana with mixed feelings. Having recently seen him, she is surprised by his impatience. Ariana thinks that the meeting yesterday did not satisfy him, which fuels her curiosity and a little irritation. In the letter, the Duke states that they must hurry with the marriage, which causes Ariana anxiety. She understands that the situation is becoming increasingly difficult and feels the need to make a decision while there is still time. She leaves resolutely, considering that the situation in Keltman is becoming increasingly suspicious. Ariana knows that she will soon have to make an important choice and prepares for a meeting where she will discuss the details of what is happening. Count Borns' daughter understands that if war breaks out, it will be difficult to overthrow the prince. She wonders why the Duke insists on hurrying, thinking that it may all be a matter of accounting. This makes her wary. Ariana's anxiety increases as she wonders why the Duke is notifying her without prior discussion. She believes that the situation is becoming increasingly confusing and suspicious, and prepares for difficult decisions. Meanwhile, the Duke, thoughtfully signing the documents, promises to convey all the wedding plans. He apologizes for his persistent behavior, hoping that Ariana will understand his desire to speed things up. The young aristocrat calls the Duke a sly fox, realizing his intelligence and resourcefulness. She understands that the Duke tried to influence her, and now she must weigh the pros and cons before making her next move. Count Borns notices that Ariana has been looking for him and concludes that she has a request. He is ready to listen to her and help her make a decision that could change the course of events in their lives and in the country. She reads a letter from Shart, which states his demand that she move into the Shart Palace before the wedding. This news worries her, as such conditions could complicate her relationship with her father. The Duke announces that a carriage will arrive for Ariana in 3 days to take her to the palace, where she will live until her wedding. This decision seems like an ultimatum, and Ariana understands the gravity of it. The main character wonders how her father, Count Borns, will react to such a demand. She considers it too impudent and is not sure that her father will accept such a condition. This puts her into a state of tension and anxiety. Count Borns unexpectedly allows Ariana to decide for herself what to do in this situation. This unexpected permission makes Ariana think a lot about her father being willing to trust her with such an important decision. Count Borns explains to Ariana that in the current situation, this demand of Shart's is even to his advantage, since the issue of the mine requires his attention. He also mentions that Shart will cover all the expenses for the wedding. Count Borns' daughter realizes that Shart has thought everything through to the last detail. His plan clearly has a deeper meaning. She is captivated by the realization of how thoughtful and cunning Shart was in his proposal. 2 days pass, and Ariana prepares to leave. She realizes that this decision has far-reaching consequences for her, and that there is no turning back. Ariana's father's mistress, Irene, confronts her after learning that Ariana will soon be leaving the estate. She expresses surprise and perhaps alarm at these developments. The young aristocrat calmly confirms that she is leaving, adding that now there will be one less person to look after. This statement evokes certain emotions in Irene, but she tries to hide them behind a neutral mask. She understands that Shart had his own goal, and now her life will change forever. She realizes how difficult the road ahead will be, but she firmly decides to move forward despite all the challenges. Irene turns to Ariana, reminding her that usually a mother would see her daughter off in such moments. But Ariana doesn't have a mother right now, creating a tense atmosphere between them. Irene says that she had this thing before she moved here, and says that if she had a daughter, she would give it to her, showing her gift, a beautiful box. Continuing, Irene expresses regret that she does not have a daughter to whom she could give this gift, hinting at her feelings of loneliness and dissatisfaction. The main character is inwardly indignant. She believes that Irene is trying to take her mother's place and wonders what is really going on in this house, expressing her doubts and distrust. Irene explains that women who lose their husbands in this empire are deprived of the right to choose. She hopes that Ariana will understand this harsh reality, hinting at her own situation and life's difficulties. Count Borns' daughter ponders Irene's words about the position of women in the empire. She understands that in this society, a woman can either be someone's wife or mistress. She is not given any other choice, realizing the limitations imposed by culture. The young aristocrat reflects on the fact that Irene wants to be the mistress of her own destiny, and not just someone's property. That is why Irene is so obsessed with money, striving to gain independence. She notices that her things are already packed. She realizes that she will have to unpack her things to put the gift in, wondering how best to handle this situation. The main character decides that she can entrust the unpacking to the maid, expressing her decision with a reserved expression on her face that shows her tiredness from what is happening. Returning to her room, Ariana finds that it has been ransacked. Questions about who could have done this and why run through her mind, leaving her feeling uneasy and confused at the chaos she sees before her. Count Borns' daughter is shocked and cannot believe what is happening. She notices that the important book she tried so hard to save is gone. This moment causes her an internal shock that makes her freeze in place. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Ariana realizes that the ledger has disappeared, an event that sends her into a panic. She is horrified to see that the book has completely disappeared, with nothing left on its pages. Her fears are confirmed. Her father has taken the book. This is the worst possible outcome, as her father never forgives traitors. Ariana's thoughts are in turmoil. She realizes that the situation is getting out of control. The young aristocrat considers turning to Shart for help. He is the only person who could save her, but without the book, their contract will be invalid, and Shart will not be able to help her. In desperation, Ariana remembers the box of jewels that Irina gave her. She hopes that these jewels will help her to survive for a few days, which gives her a tiny hope of salvation. Realizing that she has little time left, Ariana decides to act immediately. She grabs the box and tries to leave, but at that moment she is stopped by Madeline, who informs her that the owner has ordered a search of her things. She tenses up, realizing that her plans may be exposed. She sees that Madeline is worried, and this adds even more tension to the situation. Ariana understands that now everything may not go according to her plan. The search begins, and Ariana struggles to contain her inner panic. At this point, it becomes clear that the fate of the book could jeopardize her future. She feels her fears coming true. The main character tries to stay calm, but there is chaos in her soul. She knows that her next steps will be decisive. The thought that the book ended up in her hands makes her think about how she can get out of this difficult situation. The servants find the book, and Ariana realizes that the situation is critical. Suspicion around her is growing, and it threatens to ruin all her efforts. She understands that her plans may be revealed, and the consequences will be fatal. Her friend had not been particularly fond of Ariana when she became her personal maid at the age of 13. She had been unenthusiastic about her job from the start, and skeptical of the mistress she was supposed to serve. When she first met Ariana, Madeline was struck by her appearance. Ariana seemed innocent and fragile, but there was no sparkle of life in her eyes. Madeline immediately realized that this was an unusual girl, but it was difficult for her to understand what exactly made her so special. The daughter of Count Borns was the most beautiful girl Madeline had ever seen. Her long white hair and cold violet eyes looked almost unreal, like a porcelain doll. But Ariana was not just a soulless doll. There was something much deeper and more complex behind her beauty. The young aristocrat, like a doll without a soul, was unable to express emotions. Her impassive face and empty gaze caused Madeline a feeling of anxiety. It seemed that Ariana was immersed in her own world, detached from reality, and nothing around her mattered to her. The Borns estate had a strange and oppressive atmosphere. Tension and hidden dangers were everywhere. Surrounding Ariana, Madeline gradually began to notice that something was wrong with her mistress, and this secret frightened her more and more. The assistant overheard the other maids discussing their forgetting to feed their mistress. They showed no remorse, laughing and brushing off their duties. Madeline was shocked by their indifference, since Ariana depended on them as her only protectors. The maids chatted happily, mocking Ariana, not understanding the seriousness of the situation. They did not consider it their duty to take care of her, since they knew that none of the masters would punish them for it. For them, Ariana was nothing more than a toy. Ariana's companion increasingly felt that Ariana's situation was becoming strange. Although she was the Count's own daughter, all the servants treated her with disdain and cruelty. This went against all the rules and expectations that Madeline knew about serving in such houses. Seeing how the other maids treated Ariana, Madeline began to question her own actions. She felt sorry for her mistress, who seemed alone in this cold and uncaring world. She wondered what she could do to help. When Madeline learned that no one in this house was punished for mistreating Ariana, she realized that the Count didn't care about his daughter at all. The maids were even happy about this, because they could do whatever they wanted without any consequences. On Ariana's 11th birthday, an incident occurred that changed her life forever. It was a day filled with vivid events, and what should have been a joyful celebration turned into the beginning of a new phase. As Ariana faced an unexpected threat, her instincts told her not to go down without a fight. She fought back, showing that she was no mere victim, and something wild and untamable flashed in her eyes. She was not who they thought she was. She was a predator with sharpened claws, ready to fight back against anyone who dared to underestimate her. There was a fire in her heart, and a determination to fight for her freedom was seething in her soul. A being like Ariana would not bow meekly to the power of a count. She defied fate and decided to become the mistress of her own life, instead of remaining a puppet in the hands of others. Count Borns, Ariana's father, was thinking about her past at this point. He ordered a thorough search of her room, suspecting that something dangerous and hidden was hiding behind her outward calm. His thoughts went back to Ariana's childhood, when her penchant for stealing had troubled him. He wasn't sure if that was a thing of the past, and doubts began to plague him again. Madeline, a loyal servant, was sure that her mistress would be displeased with such an order. But she knew that she had to carry out the Count's orders, despite all possible consequences. Perhaps, she thought, Ariana possessed such strength and will that she could subjugate not only her world, but the entire world around her. The maid admired her mistress, although she recognized her danger. When Madeline, following orders, inspected Ariana's room, her companion asked if she had found anything suspicious. But Madeline, despite her doubts, decided not to reveal anything and said that everything was fine. This day marked the beginning of a new chapter in Ariana's life. With every step she took, she came closer to her goal, intending not only to survive, but to become the mistress of her destiny, wearing her crown with pride. The main character is worried that the owner should not know about something important, so she hid it to protect herself and others. Madeline, alarmed by the situation, begs her to figure it out and survive in this dangerous place, wanting her safety. Her friend, despite her panic, genuinely wants Ariana to remain unharmed. She expresses her concern, her voice shaking with fear, but she understands that this mission is more important than her own fears. The daughter of Count Borns firmly orders Madeline to pack her things, but Madeline is shocked by this unexpected order. Her eyes widen in surprise. She does not believe what she is hearing and feels that this may be a trap. The assistant, tormented by fear, suspects that Ariana may be trying to silence her to cover up her actions. Her suspicions deepen and she feels manipulated. The young noblewoman comforts Madeline, smiling softly and promising to take her back to the palace. She seeks to reassure her that everything will be fine, despite the dangers that surround them. Ariana's companion is finally happy and grateful that her mistress is not leaving her. She quickly begins to pack her things, feeling relief and even joy at the upcoming move. Meanwhile, Ariana is at a loss. She worries about running into unexpected problems and ponders how best to handle the mess, leaving Madeline to her own devices. Madeline, concerned about Ariana's plans, asks about the upcoming actions once they arrive at the Duke's mansion. She asks if Ariana has a strategy, but Ariana replies that the plan will be developed as events unfold. Her friend is suddenly overcome with panic at the thought that they might be caught with the book, which could become evidence against them. Her eyes are full of fear, and she cannot hide her anxiety in front of Ariana. She reminds Madeline, with tenderness and a slight smile, that she worries too much. Her calm and confidence give Madeline the support she needs in this difficult moment. The protagonist reflects on her situation. She is not just the daughter of a count, but Shart's contracted bride. She realizes that if her enemies want to attack, she will have to strike first to survive. With these thoughts, Ariana prepares for the inevitable clash. The daughter of Count Borns arrives at the palace, where she is met by numerous servants. Their bow and ceremonial reception seem to her too pompous. She is greeted as Lady Ariana, and the girl feels uncomfortable from such attention because this reception is too formal and pompous. On her way inside, Ariana is surprised by the way she is greeted. In her opinion, everything is happening too solemnly. She greets those present cautiously, wondering why such a reception. Thoughts about the upcoming events excite her, because the unknown is frightening. Inside the palace, she is politely asked to go to the drawing room where the Duchess awaits her. Ariana agrees, but she has a feeling that she is about to have an important conversation that will determine her future. She moves forward resolutely, preparing for the meeting. On her way, Ariana runs into Leela, a girl with pink hair, who greets her and is happy to see her. Leela mentions that Ariana looks different than she did at the last ball and is hard to recognize. Ariana tries to figure out how Lila knows her. The young aristocrat, confused, begins to doubt Layla's identity. She knows that Shart has no sisters, and this meeting arouses her suspicions. Ariana is tense, as she does not understand who is in front of her and what Layla's intentions are. Lila continues the conversation, claiming that she has seen Ariana before. However, Ariana admits that she does not remember Lila, and that Lila probably confused her with someone else. The situation becomes increasingly awkward, but Ariana tries to keep her composure. She politely apologizes, saying that she doesn't remember everyone at the ball, but she definitely didn't meet Layla. She knows that Layla is probably mistaken, but remains wary as it's possible that this is part of a plan. Soon, Dolores, Shart's mother, appears and explains that Layla is the daughter of the Southern Viscount Rombosio. Ariana breathes a sigh of relief, realizing that Layla poses no threat, but she is curious about Layla's relationship with her fiancé and remains wary. The protagonist learns from Dolores that Viscount Rombosio is an old friend and that Layla plays an important role in their social circle. This knowledge calms her down a little, but Ariana still feels that she must be prepared for unexpected turns in this complex environment. Dolores Chart, an elegant and self-assured woman, discusses Layla's studies in the capital, emphasizing that the girl is under their protection. She says with cold confidence that she hopes for understanding from Ariana, who listens with restraint. The daughter of Count Borns, calm and refined, introduces herself to Layla, visibly embarrassed and wary, is surprised by this introduction. Ariana is friendly, but Layla is clearly not used to such attention. Dolores greets Ariana graciously, introducing herself as Shart's mother. She appears pleased, but there is more to her eyes than simple hospitality. The atmosphere remains tense, and Ariana senses a hidden threat in Dolores' smile. Dolores muses to herself that since Layla is a friend's daughter, she will not openly express her displeasure, but she mentally emphasizes that standing before her is none other than the Duke's future bride. These thoughts show her tension about Layla. The young aristocrat watches Layla and concludes that she rarely appears in society and is very withdrawn. She is glad that her son chose such an attentive and quiet girl, but there is a hint of caution in her gaze, as if she does not fully trust the first impression. Shart, returning home, hurries to greet his mother Dolores, who meets him on the living room couch. Shart reassures her that they were just chatting, but his tone of voice betrays some tension, as if he foresees possible trouble. As Shart approaches, he apologizes to Ariana and Layla for not meeting them in person sooner. He is polite, but Layla's gaze shows that she is confused and unsure of how to respond to his words. Ariana remains calm and observant. His lordship expresses his joy at having guests, trying to ease the tension in the air. Layla looks at him with slight confusion, still adjusting to her new surroundings. Ariana, on the other hand, seems relaxed and pleased with Shart's hospitality. She, standing next to Shart, offers to finish the tour of the house, but suddenly asks when they will be told everything. There is a slight insistence in her voice, which makes Shart wary because he is clearly expected to reveal some important information. A noble man with a serious face announces that Keltman has subjugated the last kingdom. His words create the feeling that important political events are taking place, on which the future of all those gathered depends. Shart's tone is alarming, and all present understand that the world around them is changing. An empire in the east, proclaiming itself great, expands its domain, rapidly capturing territory. A dark leader with a staff and silver hair looks into the distance, illuminated by a red light, symbolizing his ambition and power. Between the empires of Harpian and Keltman lie many tribes and two kingdoms that serve as buffers in the struggle for power. The map illustrates their locations, highlighting the tense situation in the region where conflict will soon erupt. The main character, with a thoughtful look, discusses the latest news with Shart. The Empire has captured the last kingdom. She understands the importance of this event for Shart and foresees that great difficulties await them in the near future. The black-haired Duke, looking seriously at Ariana, confirms that he will have to deal with this situation. His expression conveys determination, but also some anxiety, because such matters require a lot of his attention and time. The Duke explains why he asked Ariana to stay with him instead of following Count Borns. He believes it is best for both of them, as the current circumstances require her full involvement and support. Count Born's daughter agrees to Chart's proposal and assures him that she has brought all the necessary documents. She smiles, showing calm and confidence, although a shadow of concern for the future can be seen in her eyes. Layla, watching this, is furious. She feels ignored and humiliated as Duke Shart kisses Ariana's hand. This gesture symbolizes the special treatment Shart has for Ariana, which deeply hurts Layla. Layla wonders painfully why Shart never made such gestures towards her. Her face is distorted with rage and pain. Her red eyes sparkle with tears and anger, A feeling of jealousy and resentment grows. Layla firmly declares that she will not forgive Ariana, certain that she is plotting something. Her gaze is full of distrust and anger, and her thoughts are rapidly spinning around the plan of revenge, which she begins to think about as she leaves the room. The young aristocrat thanks him for the invitation to dinner, emphasizing that this word is no longer quite appropriate, since they have become one family. The situation itself is tense, not so much with words, as with hidden emotions and tension between the characters. Layla appears on stage, beaming, and asks if she has stayed too long. Her happy, cheerful mood contrasts sharply with the tension in the room, creating a sense of ease, although there is something more in the air. Ariana is invited to sit at the table, and despite the short wait, the atmosphere begins to thicken. Layla happily takes part in the dinner, unaware of the thoughts swarming in the heads of those gathered. When Layla suggests Ariana try something new, the latter quietly declines, causing suspicion and confusion among the others. This becomes a key moment, showing her wariness and hidden fears. She struggles to maintain an outward calm, experiencing internal turmoil from Layla's constant attention. Her eyes, reflecting the internal struggle, show that she is not used to being in the center of such events. Layla politely approaches Ariana with a request, which causes a wave of surprise among the latter. Ariana happily agrees to listen to the request, but internally prepares herself for a possible emotional game, which, as she suspects, Layla is playing. After asking if it's okay to call Ariana mom, Layla says something that shatters the calm of the situation. It's an unexpected move that demonstrates her ability to manipulate the situation, leaving Ariana surprised. Dolores, feeling the tension, wonders how soon their families will be united, but her thought process is interrupted by an unexpected and frank statement from Layla. This causes a wave of internal unrest in Dolores, heating up the situation even more. While Ariana laughs at Layla's words, trying to maintain a facade of calm, her inner turmoil still betrays her. The situation becomes increasingly unpredictable, raising questions about how sincere Layla's intentions are. Shart and Layla are left alone, and Layla, recognizing Shart's rightness, shows that she too is seething with emotion, despite her outward confidence. This gives the whole scene a dark and dramatic tone, emphasizing the tension between the characters. Dolores ends the conversation, deciding that they have had enough for today. She tries to keep the situation under control, recognizing the importance of maintaining order in the house, especially on such a significant day. The main character reflects on the importance of avoiding disagreements, especially on the day of the son's bride's arrival at home. She understands that the slightest misunderstanding can destroy the fragile balance and worsen relations with the family. Dolores expresses disappointment, thinking that it's high time for Layla to grow up. She feels responsible for what's happening and hopes that Layla will find a way to become more mature and responsible. His lordship apologizes to Ariana for what happened. He admits his guilt, although Ariana does not immediately understand what exactly he is apologizing for, and this causes her slight surprise and bewilderment. Count Born's daughter wonders what exactly Chart is apologizing for. She points out that his actions could have been considered disrespectful, especially in front of his wife, and tries to convey to him the significance of his actions. The noble man explains that he tried to refuse Layla, but Ariana continues to reproach him for not being strong enough in his position. He tries to explain that his authority does not allow him to banish Layla. Layla is introduced as the daughter of an old friend of Shart's mother. Until she completes her studies in the capital, Shart and Ariana cannot interfere in her affairs, which adds complexity to their family relationship. The black-haired Duke admits that he did not expect Layla to pose as his lover. This news stuns him and raises many questions about Layla's true intentions and her role in their lives. Despite the current situation, Shart knows he has to apologize. He feels he has to express remorse in order to maintain peace in the home and smooth over any conflicts that may arise. The young noblewoman generously forgives Shart, emphasizing her wisdom and maturity. However, she adds that she would like him to be more decisive in front of other people, as she does not want others to ignore their marriage. Layla is lost in thought about how she is addressed, Mama or Shart. This causes conflicting emotions in her. Because she has been deprived of any rights, she deeply experiences these moments, which affect her inner world. Layla, overcome with anger and resentment, realizes that resentment has ripened in her heart. She thinks about how she has always been limited, which causes a flash of strong feelings in her. Her anger is difficult to contain. She wonders, pleased, and with a hint of malice, how she thinks Lila has become so powerless. Her disdain and displeasure are clearly directed at Lila, which increases the tension between them. Layla feels that her place in the house should have been hers by right, which only increases her anger. Her feelings of injustice and resentment flow into a desire to take back what she believes is rightfully hers. The assistant, a maid, asks Layla why she did not look for her upon her arrival. This causes Layla to feel neglected and reproached, highlighting the growing tension and misunderstanding between them. The main character asks Madeline for information about a local jewelry store. Madeline is a little confused by this question, which adds comedy to the situation, as the context does not correspond to the seriousness of what is happening. Ariana's companion hesitantly replies that she knows a place where she can find jewelry. Her uncertainty adds a comical element to the situation, as she is clearly not used to such requests from Ariana. The Duke informs Ariana that a ball is coming soon. This adds new plans and intrigue to the plot, foreshadowing further events and revealing new conflicts or interactions. Count Borns' daughter wistfully notes that the ball and the hunting competition are being held at the same time. She suspects that there may be more to it, perhaps hidden motives and conspiracies. The young aristocrat begins to suspect that holding two such important events at the same time may be connected to an impending danger. She thinks about it warily, realizing that something is being prepared. Chart reflects on the current political situation, where he is concerned about the emperor's condition due to the emergence of powerful opponents. This causes concern for the Duke, as changes are coming that could affect their future. She is worried about not having a dress for the ball. She mentions that all the money has gone into the wedding preparations, and she has not received a penny from her father. This situation seems hopeless, and in despair, she does not know what to do. Madeline notes that Ariana will soon be a duchess and wonders why she has to sell her jewelry. Their conversation is sarcastically charged, hinting at future difficulties despite the changes to come. The main character, slightly laughing, asks Madeleine to lend her some money, but she refuses, explaining that she herself does not even have the money for a dress. This situation shows the mutual financial difficulties of the heroine and her circle. Her friend is looking closely at the jewelry box that Ariana is going to sell. The maid asks if she is really going to part with these jewels, which causes Ariana some confusion. Count Borns' daughter notes that these ornaments will fetch little and advises them to leave them. She is disappointed that even such things cannot save them from their current financial difficulties. Her attitude towards the situation changes with every minute. The assistant, looking at one of the pieces of jewelry, disagrees with Ariana and says that they look expensive. In her opinion, antique jewelry in good condition could help to earn enough money, which leads to the idea of other possibilities. The young aristocrat, already losing patience, resolutely orders that everything in the box be left behind. She emphasizes her disagreement with the plan to sell them, wanting to preserve at least part of her former life, despite the difficulties. Ariana's companion humbly agrees with Ariana's decision and leaves the box behind, but takes the rest to sell. She respectfully notes that Ariana has inherited her father's strong character, showing respect for her willpower. Dale, Chart's servant, earnestly expresses his loyalty and honor to accompany Lady Ariana. He is ready to do everything in his power to ensure her stay is safe and comfortable. His confidence is reinforced by the solemn atmosphere. While meeting Ariana, Dale is surprised when her friend Madeline whispers in her ear, clearly expressing her concerns. Ariana laughs, noting that Dale may not be willing to compromise, which slightly confuses him. Madeline asks Ariana for a moment. They are clearly about to discuss something important away from Dale's ears. The mystery is palpable in their gestures and whispers, building up the suspense. Her friend explains to Ariana that the place they are going to is not exactly legal. Ariana, worried, agrees that Dale's company could be a hindrance. Both girls realize that they need to get rid of him. She makes a request of Dale, which is a cunning plan to distract him. She asks him to do something in the hopes that it will distract him from their real goal. The main character slyly suggests that Dale join a long line for desserts that are famous for their high quality. She confidently claims that she and Madeline will go to another boutique, reassuring him that everything will be fine. Dale agrees and promises to do her bidding. Although he looks a little embarrassed, he still decides to comply, unaware that he was simply distracted. Ariana, smiling contentedly, informs Madeline that their plan has succeeded and they can move on. Both characters, pleased with their cunning, move forward with ease. The assistant, almost running, informs Ariana that they are already close to the goal. Her serious attitude and quick movement show that they are in a hurry to make it before Dale returns. The young aristocrat, hearing this, is pleased and comments on the situation in a relaxed manner, happily realizing that their plan worked. The whole scene shows their dexterity and ability to manage the situation. She finds a man lying unconscious on the floor. She is outraged that passers-by are ignoring his condition. As she gets closer, she realizes that it is not just a matter of unconsciousness. It requires attention. Suddenly, the man opens his eyes and smiles, slightly embarrassed. He seems drunk, but that doesn't stop him from commenting on Ariana being a heartless girl, irritating her. Ariana's companion, Ariana's handmaiden, is shocked by what is happening and asks her mistress who this man is. Ariana frankly admits that she has no idea who he is or why they found themselves in this situation. The man grabs Ariana's hand, asking for her attention for a moment. Despite his drunkenness, he looks at her with undisguised interest. His condition bewilders both girls. The man sarcastically remarks that lying drunk in broad daylight is the height of misery. However, despite his words, his smile suggests that he is not too worried about it. Madeline panics and asks if Ariana killed the man, as his condition has worsened. However, Ariana assures her that she simply knocked him out and that they are almost there. As they continue to lead the unconscious man along the way, Ariana exclaims that they are almost there. Hoping that this will end soon, Madeline worries about her master's condition. The main character continues to reflect on how the great Paku, unconscious and beaten by a woman, looks absolutely ridiculous in his situation. She cannot believe that such a famous person ended up in such a situation. With her business done, Ariana thanks the Knight of Dale for standing in line for her. She suggests that they all return to the estate, hinting that their adventures may be over. As she looks back on her day, Ariana happily remembers getting a great deal at a jewelry store and finding a dress she really liked, despite all the challenges she faced that day. His lordship informs Ariana that from tomorrow she must begin attending classes for brides. This unexpected news causes Ariana to have questions and feel slightly embarrassed. She asks Shart who will be teaching these lessons, and whether his mother has agreed. Ariana is clearly surprised that such lessons are even being considered. The nobleman, smiling, assures her that his mother willingly agreed to take on this role. This news shows the seriousness of the intentions of the Duke and his family. The black-haired Duke explains to Ariana that she doesn't have a mother of her own to help with the training, so his mother, Dolores, has kindly agreed to take on the duty of teaching. Ariana, having accepted the information, agrees that classes will start tomorrow. She looks nervous, but tries to keep herself in check, realizing that this is an important stage in her life. The next day, Dolores greets Ariana and tells her that she is now counting on her. Ariana feels responsible and begins to embrace her new role. A week of intensive classes follows, teaching Ariana about budget management, staff management, family traditions, and etiquette. The lessons are clearly more challenging than she expected. Dolores praises Ariana for her efforts, but advises her to review what she has learned to consolidate her knowledge. Despite the difficulties, Ariana gradually gets used to her new responsibilities. Tired after school, Ariana turns to her maid Madeline to find out what kind of day awaits her tomorrow. Apparently, she hopes for a little rest. Her friend informs her that the Duchess is arranging a meeting, and therefore there will be no classes. This news brings long-awaited relief to Ariana, who will now be able to rest and recuperate. The young aristocrat, exhausted after a long day of work, stands at the table, leaning heavily on her hands. Madeline is full of enthusiasm, suggesting that they go out somewhere to rest. But Ariana, sighing, admits that she feels completely exhausted. The assistant curiously asks where they are going, assuming it might be a simple shopping trip. However, Ariana suddenly says she wants to go shooting, which leaves Madeline clearly surprised and somewhat confused. When they arrive at the shooting club, they are greeted by a gunsmith with green hair. He offers Ariana a variety of weapons, proudly showing off the club's arsenal. His polite manner and confidence confirm that he knows his stuff. She decisively chooses to start with a revolver. She holds it confidently, showing that shooting is not just a pastime for her, but a familiar activity. The gunsmith notices her interest in rifles and muskets, but she remains true to her original choice. The gunsmith mentions the Dreiss rifle, offering it as another option. Ariana shows interest and decides to take it, which amazes those around her. Her knowledge of weapons goes beyond what is normal for a lady. The main character picks up the Dreiss rifle, and her eyes light up with inspiration. She admires the shooting club, considering it truly worthy of the title of royal. Everyone around her understands that she is an expert in weapons. Dale, Shart's servant, wonders inwardly how Ariana knows so much about the new weapon. Her confidence and skill with the rifle leaves him slightly confused, as shown by the worried expression on his face. Meanwhile, Glock, a brown-haired man, asks in a joking tone whether Ariana came to shoot or just to say hello. His words are accompanied by a slight smile, clearly hinting at sympathy. Ariana's comrade watches Glock interact with her lady, and her face fills with outrage. She can't believe that Glock would dare to flirt with Ariana like that, and she seethes internally, wondering if he wants to lose his life for such impudence. Ariana's maid is seriously annoyed by what is happening, while Ariana remains calm and unwavering, immersed in her passion for weapons and shooting, continuing to communicate with the gunsmith and admire the arsenal provided to her. Count Borns' daughter asks Glock with a confident smile on her face on what basis he made such an assumption. She looks at him with mild interest, while Glock is clearly confused by what is happening. Ariana seems calm and confident, while Glock is at a loss before her gaze. Glock tries to explain that the seat Ariana is sitting in has actually always been his. He adds that every time he comes here, he sits in this exact spot. It is clear that he is trying to save face, but he is a little nervous. The young noblewoman laughs cheerfully at his explanation and says that she didn't know that the Imperial shooting range allowed reservations. She adds that if she had known, she wouldn't be here, clearly enjoying playing with the situation. Glock, trying to justify himself, says that this attitude is due to the fact that he is the best marksman in the Empire. He is a little embarrassed, but tries to explain that this is a special respect for his skills. Glock apologizes for the delay in introducing himself, and a little tensely, reveals that he is the eldest son of the Colt family. His name is Glock, and he has finally formally introduced himself to Ariana, ready to continue the conversation. She is surprised to herself that the best marksman in the Empire stands before her. She has long wanted to measure her strength with such an opponent. Her gaze becomes more focused, and she is ready for the challenge. Glock seems a little nervous that Ariana is in front of him. Wanting to resolve the situation peacefully, he suggests that they share the place. Glock tries to be polite, hoping that such a compromise will suit Ariana, but Ariana refuses the offer to share the seat and defiantly offers to compete for the right to sit here. She is confident in her abilities and is determined to prove that she is worthy of this place. Glock, stunned by the offer, realizes that Ariana is serious. She holds her revolver in her hands, ready for the competition. With her determined look, she shows that she will not back down, and only one of them can take this place. Glock is stunned, unable to believe his eyes. His reaction suggests that what just happened is beyond his comprehension. He has clearly encountered something incredible that has thrown him off balance. Glock turns to the gunsmith, wondering if there was a mistake, as he is certain the target must have changed. The gunsmith coolly replies that there was no change, as all the names were correct. Glock can't believe what happened. He is outraged that all the shots hit their target, something that even he couldn't achieve. His bewilderment and rage grows. He finds it absolutely incredible. There are 2 revolvers on the table, and Glock suddenly understands what is going on. He accuses everyone present of collusion, suspecting that the whole thing was a setup to deceive him. His irritation reaches its peak. The main character, watching Glock, reacts calmly and with surprise to his accusations. She considers his accusations stupid and even absurd, which further inflames the conflict. The gunsmith tries to keep the situation under control, not understanding what Glock is specifically implying, but promises to report the incident to higher management to resolve this dispute at a higher level. Glock, overcome with anger, does not hold back his emotions and accuses Ariana of humiliating him, despite the fact that he is the eldest son of Count Colt. He clearly considers his status untouchable and her actions a challenge. Count Born's daughter reminds him of propriety with a grin, reproaching him for his disrespectful treatment of her. Her lightness and sarcasm anger Glock even more, but she remains calm and self-assured. Glock finally loses his temper and threatens to go to his father to destroy her entire family. His rage has reached a critical point, and he no longer controls his words, driven by anger and wounded pride. The young aristocrat introduces herself with a smile on her face, reminding Glock who he is dealing with and adding a sarcastic note to her address to him. Her confidence and calm in response to his threats show that she is not intimidated by his status. Dale learns that Ariana is the Borns everyone is talking about. He remembers that Count Borns still rules the duchy, but rumors are circulating that his daughter has recently become engaged to Duke Shart. This leaves Dale surprised and wary. She meets with Dale, and Madeline Dale insistently asks if she is going to end the current situation. Ariana is confused and asks what he means. It is clear that the tension between them is growing, and each is trying to understand the other's intentions. Dale states with determination that if Ariana allows it, he will immediately challenge the culprit to a duel to defend his honor. His face reflects firm determination, but Ariana reacts with surprise, not quite understanding what has caused such a sharp reaction. The main character gently stops him, noting that it is not worth it. Her gaze is calm and confident. She does not want to inflame the conflict. Ariana decides to end this conversation for today, demonstrating her wisdom and desire to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Later, Ariana and Madeline enjoy some quiet time and discuss the events that have happened. Ariana shares that the day was really fun and suggests going back to the bakery. Their light conversation shows that despite their recent experiences, they still find time for joy and friendship. The conversation is interrupted by another maid, who informs her that Lady Layla is waiting to meet with Ariana. Ariana is surprised by this news, as she did not expect an invitation from Layla. She wonders what exactly Layla wishes to discuss, and what is behind this invitation. The daughter of Count Borns meets with Lila, who apologizes for her past behavior. Admitting that she was rude, Lila tries to smooth things over and invites Ariana for tea to express her apologies. Ariana, in turn, remains calm, trying to understand Lila's true motives. The young noblewoman is a little taken aback by Layla's apology, not immediately understanding why she calls her behavior rude. She wonders where Layla is leading and what is the reason for her change of mood. Ariana remains wary, trying to discern hidden motives. Layla continues to apologize to Ariana, calling her the Duke's fiancée. She admits that her behavior was inappropriate and that she would like to make it up to Ariana while she is still involved with the Duke. It is clear that Layla is trying to reconcile, but her words still ring hollow. Layla explains that she acted impulsively and that this is not the first time she has made mistakes. She notes that as long as Ariana remains the Duke's fiancée, Layla understands that her behavior may have been unpleasant for Ariana. Layla feigns remorse, but her expression remains enigmatic, as if she has a hidden agenda. She tells him that the Duke spent the previous night with her in her room, a glint of cunning in her eyes, creating a mysterious atmosphere around her words, hinting at something more than just a meeting. Ariana then happily states that the Duke does not like to be without her for long, her joyful expression and romantic images in the clouds, highlighting her confidence in her words and sense of superiority. Suddenly, one of the maids in a panic notices Ariana's dress, which is clearly dirty, causing shock and bewilderment, adding comedy and absurdity to what is happening, because her story about the Duke now looks like a lie. Layla rushes to remove the stains from her dress, but Ariana only condescendingly thanks her, clearly not taking the situation seriously, showing her arrogance and ignoring the awkwardness that has arisen. The main character, sitting on the couch, irritably thinks about how to get rid of Layla. At this moment, her patience is at its limit, and the maid next to her looks at her with understanding and, perhaps, sympathy for her situation. Madeline, looking at Ariana with embarrassment, mentions that she spent the night alone, but Ariana indifferently brushes it off as if this fact does not matter at all, continuing to demonstrate her indifference. Enter Sebastian, the butler, who addresses Ariana with a polite question, which only increases her feeling of control and arrogance, because once again, they have come to tell her important news. Sebastian announces the arrival of a guest, and at that moment, the figure of an unknown man appears, surrounded by a mysterious glow, hinting at something magical or important, which attracts Ariana's attention. The daughter of Count Borns asks with interest and slight suspicion how this guest found her location. Her gaze is stern and distrustful, and there is tension in the air, creating intrigue and waiting for the revelation of further events. Navier greets Ariana, shining against the golden rays, expressing joy at meeting his sister. He clearly does not notice the cold expression on her face, and naively believes that his friendliness will be mutual. The young noblewoman holds back her irritation and reminds Navier that she asked him not to call her sister. Adding the rude word, her cold eyes make it clear that she is not thrilled to communicate with him. She inquires about her father's condition and asks if Navier has said anything important since her departure. Navier replies that he only heard talk of the mines during his last visit home, but is unsure of the accuracy of his recollection. Ariana watches him try to remember, showing no emotion other than a hidden displeasure. She reflects on her father's indifference to her fate, remembering how she left home and got married without encountering any resistance. She is not bothered by this, because her main priorities now are her own peace and safety. There is tension in the room, but Ariana, not wanting to prolong the unpleasant conversation, offers Navier a snack or something to say before he leaves. Her question conceals a desire to quickly end this meeting, which she considers unnecessary. Navier smiles and replies that, fortunately, they don't serve her favorite cakes here, trying to lighten the mood with a joke. However, his attempt to bring a smile to Ariana's face fails, and her expression remains cold. Navier suddenly remembers that tomorrow is Ariana's birthday and congratulates her in advance. Calling her dear sister, his good intentions only cause slight irritation in Ariana, but she hides her emotions, remaining indifferent. Navier admits that he wanted to congratulate her personally, but Ariana does not react to his words. She only internally realizes that his concern for her birthday makes her anxious and wary, as if something is wrong. A thought begins to flash through her mind. How did he know about her birthday, if even she herself does not remember telling him about it? Ariana does not trust Navier and feels a growing anxiety that she cannot ignore. Navier sits in thought. He remembers that Count Borns had no heir, only a daughter. However, according to the laws, a woman cannot inherit the title, and the family had to find a way out of the situation to preserve the inheritance. Navier continues his reflections. He recalls how the succession of the Count of Borns passed to his family, the Count's relatives. This was a turning point, since the title could not be passed on to his daughter, which complicated the situation. Family photo of the Baronnie de Belune. The picture shows the older members of the family and Navier, with his brother, Navier's brother, was to become the Baron de Belune, as he was the eldest son and was destined to continue the line, while the younger Navier was left to live in his shadow. Navier remembers that his older brother was destined to be Baron de Belune. At this point, he begins to realize his secondary role in the family. Navier often felt superfluous and unimportant, since all expectations were placed on his older brother. Navier reflects on his position as the younger son with no prospects. The older brother, who has all the chances for the title and inheritance, has begun to treat Navier harshly, becoming increasingly hot-tempered and irritable as the time for the division of the inheritance approaches. Navier remembers how his brother began to act aggressively towards him, becoming increasingly cruel and resentful. He treated Navier viciously, trying to knock out of him any hope of an equal position in the family, and Navier often suffered because of this. Navier is shocked by the words spoken by his brother. His brother said that it would be better to kill Navier to be sure of getting the title of count. This statement made Navier feel dangerous and afraid for his life, because his brother's envy and thirst for power became obvious. The eldest member of the family convinces brother Navier that the title will go to him anyway, and the daughter of Count Borns has no chance. This strengthens the brother's determination to act harshly and decisively without regard for anything in order to achieve his goals. Navier ponders over possible ways to get rid of his brother without consequences. Thoughts of the need to kill his brother without leaving a trace begin to enter his mind as the pressure and cruelty of his brother continue to increase, threatening his life. Navier admits to himself that he gave up everything for his brother, despite being the second son of a poor baron. His sacrifice was conscious so that his brother could continue the family line, but this decision brought Navier much pain and suffering. Navier remembers his past life, where he existed but did not truly live. He felt indifferent to life and as if he was just floating along, without striving for anything. His life was empty and meaningless, but he accepted it without regret. One day, he realized that someone in his life started to reject him and try to get rid of him. This made him rethink his existence. He was faced with a choice: to accept his fate or to fight for his place in this world. At that moment, Navier realized that he didn't really want to die. The fear of losing the life he had neglected for so long awakened in him the desire to fight for his destiny. He felt within himself a strength and a will to live that had previously seemed inaccessible to him. However, despite his desire for change, the people around him continued to ignore his feelings. His brother would come to an influential person and complain about life, not noticing that Navier also needed support and understanding. At some point, Navier makes a decisive choice and declares that he wants to stay in this world. His words are firm and determined. This statement becomes the beginning of his fight for a place in the sun. He realizes that he does not want to die and must survive at any cost. This understanding brings him joy. Despite all the difficulties, his face glows with determination, and he is ready to take on the challenges that lie ahead. Suddenly, a new person enters his life: his half-sister, Ariana. This adds new problems and challenges, as they now have to live together and somehow get along with each other, which causes Navier some concerns. The main character immediately makes it clear to Navier that she does not feel sympathy for him. Navier tries to understand the reason for such an attitude. He begins to doubt himself and his actions, which intensifies his inner experiences. The relationship with Ariana only gets worse, and her bullying becomes unbearable. Navier feels cornered, but does not lose faith that he can overcome this challenge. The daughter of Count Borns gives him an ultimatum: stay out of her sight and live like a street rat. Her cold and contemptuous attitude only strengthens Navier's determination to survive and prove to everyone that he deserves a better life. Navier remembers how, after lessons with a tutor hired by his uncle, he would often lie on the couch and stare at the ceiling. This was his usual pastime, a symbol of loneliness and reflection on his place in this house. One day, leaving the room, he ran into Ariana. Her sudden appearance surprised him, as if she had been waiting for this moment. For Navier, it was unexpected, because he was not used to such attention from Ariana. The young noblewoman mockingly asked why Navier, the lazy bastard, was still there. Her attitude was cold and mocking, which made Navier feel even more alien and out of place in this house, where every day he had to prove his right to a place. Navier tried to explain that this was his home now. He smiled, but his eyes were filled with inner uncertainty. The words sounded more like an attempt to convince himself than Ariana, whose disdain was obvious. She protested furiously, insisting that the house was hers. Her eyes were blazing with anger, and her voice was shaking with emotion. She could not accept that Navier, as a second son, was laying claim to what she believed should have always been hers. The main character screamed furiously at Navier, declaring that the house would be hers until their father died, and that Navier had no place there. Her words were full of pain and resentment that was impossible to hide from. For her, he was an invader, an intruder into her personal space. Navier realized that to Ariana, he was just a stranger who had come to take a seat at her table. He saw her as someone who had always known that the title and inheritance would not be hers just because she was a woman, and that bothered her. The daughter of Count Borns understood that all the property and titles would not go to her only because of her gender. She felt an injustice that penetrated deep into her soul, and this gave rise to hatred for Navier, whom she saw as a threat to her dream. Navier clenched his fists as he looked at Ariana, realizing how similar her pain was to his own. He knew that her bitterness was akin to his own experiences as a second son who had also given up so much for his place in this world. Navier remembers how his cousin once gave up everything because he was the second son. Ariana's story reminds him that they are both, to some extent, victims of a system that dictates who has the right to more simply by birth. Navier remembers Ariana offering him cake as a sign of concern, but he sensed that she was doing it for some hidden purpose. He thinks that eating the entire cake alone would be a difficult task. Navier thinks about the different ways a person can be tortured. He imagines depriving someone of food, but even worse, forcing them to eat until they feel sick. Deciding not to resist, he agrees to try the cake, but is internally afraid of the consequences. He knows that refusing could hurt Ariana. He swallowed the cake with difficulty and said it was delicious, but it was a lie. Ariana clearly didn't believe his words. Her irritation was visible on her face. The next day, Ariana brought cake again. And not only that day, but the next day as well. She continued to bring desserts, and Navier, though reluctantly, ate them. He remembers how Ariana never tired of bringing new cakes, and he, holding back the urge to vomit, obediently ate them so as not to offend her. Eventually, Navier was at the end of his rope. His stomach was full of sweets, and he could no longer resist. He ended up in bed with severe stomach pain. Lying on his bed, Navier cursed Ariana and planned to tell his uncle about it so that he would punish her for this sophisticated mockery. Navier overhears a conversation in which a girl asks a doctor if he will die. The doctor replies that the patient's condition is unclear, but he cannot give a precise answer yet, which makes Navier anxious. Navier tries to understand who these people are and desperately hopes that he will survive. Ariana, in her style, makes a scene, calling the doctor a charlatan and demanding to contact the best doctor from the capital. Navier contemplates a possible deal in which his uncle could exchange Ariana for the diamond mine, but he sees no sign of such an outcome in her reaction and calms down, deciding that everything is fine. The young aristocrat hopes that life with the Duke will be free and happy, as if she is being released from a golden cage. Her dreams inspire her, filling her with hope for a better future. The next day, Dolores congratulates Ariana on her coming of age. This important moment in the heroine's life is marked by restrained joy, but with a touch of sadness, as if this day does not bring her true satisfaction. At the party in honor of Ariana, the chef prepares her favorite cake. The luxurious dish, like a symbol of the care and attention of others, emphasizes the significance of the event. But behind this splendor, there is something more. Despite all this luxury, Ariana feels that the cake made especially for her does not bring joy. She knows that she will not be able to eat it because her heart is full of sadness and alienation. The chef is genuinely happy about Ariana's arrival, noting that making the cake has become a pleasant process for him. He is ready to satisfy any of her culinary preferences, trying to make her stay more comfortable. She realizes that her presence here is tied to a contract that will expire in a year. She is sad, realizing that the warm care that surrounds her now is temporary, and that soon she will have to leave. The Duke notices that Ariana is not feeling well and expresses concern. Ariana realizes that her condition has not gone unnoticed, adding to the tension in an already difficult situation. The main character holds a fork and has dessert in front of her, but she doesn't show much appetite, noting that she doesn't feel hungry. Her thoughts are preoccupied with something else, and she's clearly not in the mood to enjoy something sweet. Chart notices that Ariana is reluctant to eat and suggests that she not force herself if she is having a hard time. Ariana is confused by the situation and tries to explain, but does not know how to express her thoughts correctly. His lordship praised the dishes, noting that the chef had done a particularly good job today. He suggested that Ariana order another dessert if this one was not to her liking, but she did not know what to do. Ariana, worried about not finishing her meal, wonders if the chef will be disappointed if her dish is left untouched. She apologizes, feeling awkward about the situation. Realizing her mistake, Ariana thanks Shart for his concern and kindness. She smiles, realizing that she had not thought of it before, and tries to smooth over the awkwardness with a joke. The young aristocrat decides that she needs to tell the chef that she can't eat the cakes. She decides to do it next time so as not to cause any inconvenience. The nobleman politely asks Ariana to step away for a moment, to which she agrees, as they still have time to talk. Ariana listens, waiting to hear what he wants to discuss. Lila, sitting at another table, watches Shart and Ariana. She is shocked that the Duke is not only dining with Ariana, but also eating her food, which makes her jealous and worried. The black-haired Duke invites Ariana to the terrace, where a table with drinks awaits them. He remembers his promise to buy her a beer on the day she came of age, and suggests doing it now. She is surprised by this turn of events, but accepts Shart's offer. They continue their conversation, enjoying the view from the terrace and the light atmosphere that finally helps them relax. The main character is surprised by the gift Shart gave her for her birthday. A bottle of drink, she compares it to the one she received from his mother, creating a feeling of slight disappointment. The daughter of Count Borns tells that Chart's mother gave her 3 magnificent dresses and a large set of diamonds. She expresses delight at such a gift, showing off the luxurious outfits. Ariana internally reflects that she would not have sold her jewelry if she had known that Shart's gift would be so simple. She feels disappointed and ashamed of her expectations. The Duke regretfully admits that he did not know about the need to prepare a separate gift. He looks upset and unsure, realizing his mistake. The young aristocrat laughs, explaining that she was only joking and that she really likes his gift. Shart, however, doubts that she is taking her words seriously. She assures Shart that his gift is her favorite, despite the fact that his mother's gift was more significant. She emphasizes that it must remain their secret, hinting at its special significance. Shart congratulates Ariana on her birthday, handing her a glass. He tries to make up for his previous mistakes by showing genuine concern. His lordship notices that he is the only one with a glass and wonders why Ariana is not drinking. She replies that it is all right, but drinking alone is no fun. The main character offers Shart to try the drink he brought, emphasizing that it will be more fun together. Shart, however, refuses, not wanting to drink. The daughter of Count Borns tries the drink and notes its interesting taste, describing her sensations. She admires the drink, explaining that at first it warms and then brings a refreshing coolness, finding this a special pleasure. The young aristocrat, holding a glass of drink in a relaxed manner, recalls her conversation with Madeleine. However, she notices that her interlocutor is silent and begins to wonder why he does not answer. A slight smile appears on her face, as if she is playfully provoking him to answer. She notices that Shart has come too close. She feels uncomfortable with his sudden approach. Her cheeks turn slightly pink, and a thought pops into her head. When did he manage to get so close? She seems confused, but tries to maintain her composure. The tension mounts, and Ariana asks Shart to stop before he speaks. Her heart begins to pound, and she tries to regain control of the situation in confusion. But it is clear that she is on the verge of embarrassment. The main character, having retreated to a safe distance, sighs with relief, realizing how close the moment was. She resolutely declares that she will no longer succumb to such provocations. Her face expresses a mixture of excitement and relief. The noble man seems to lose consciousness. Ariana rushes to him in a panic, trying to bring him to his senses. She calls his name and asks him to wake up, clearly concerned about his condition. Some time passes, and the imperial ball begins. Shart looks strict and reserved in his dress uniform. He is preparing for an important event, and it is clear that he will play a significant role at the ball. The servants discuss why Shart seems so depressed and worried. They assume that he does not like such events. This adds intrigue and raises the question, what is really bothering Shart? Ariana, dressed in fine clothes and adorned with flowers, asks Shart what he did yesterday. Her soft smile and interested gaze underscore her friendliness, but also suggest that she is bothered by his distance. The young aristocrat, laughing, embraces Shart and tries to catch his eye, asking him a direct question. Why is he avoiding her gaze? In this moment, there is a certain lightness and an attempt to relieve tension, but also an attempt to establish a connection and understand what is happening. The black-haired Duke reflects that his mistake was drinking, hoping for the best. This shows his internal struggle with reality and his attempts to escape from pain through alcohol. He can't bear to acknowledge his weaknesses, and this moment shows his vulnerability. Shart's memories take him back to when he was 15 and sent to war by his uncle in a neighboring kingdom. Young Shart was forced to become a soldier at an age too young and was exposed to the cruelty of the world, which left a lasting mark on him. After the first battle, Shart drank with the soldiers of his army. Surrounded by his comrades, he tried to cope with the experiences of war. Their company gave him short-term relief from his dark thoughts, but the internal tension remained. He recalls how even one sip would make him lose his mind, feeling out of place. This moment highlights his aversion to alcohol and weakness towards it, which made him feel ashamed and anxious. Alcohol did not bring him relief, but only worsened his condition. She tries to cheer Shart up by telling him that drinking alone is no fun, offering him company. She tries to support him by understanding his worries. Her care and attention to Shart demonstrates her kindness and willingness to help. The Duke does not want to be a burden to Ariana and spoil the atmosphere, but still agrees to her offer. It is difficult for him to accept support, but he does not want to disappoint Ariana, whose sincere kindness warms his soul, although he feels awkward. At the reception, Shart recalls how at one point his nose started bleeding and is glad that no one remembers it. This incident became a symbol of weakness and vulnerability for him, which he tried to hide from others, fearing condemnation. Dolores, observing Shart, speculates that perhaps he is ashamed of his weakness for alcohol. She sees him not only as a son, but as a man struggling with inner demons. Her observations reflect her concern and care for Shart. Layla, preparing to leave for the carriage, feels nervous about the upcoming meeting. There is anxiety in her eyes, but she tries to act confident. Layla represents willpower and the desire to live up to expectations, despite internal fears. Dolores and Lila discuss how to split up, with Ariana and Shart going first and them following. This symbolizes their supportive role in Shart and Ariana's lives, their willingness to be there in both difficult times and joyful moments, supporting them through any trials. Layla is angry to learn that her plans have been thwarted. She had originally planned to go with Shart, but now she sees that something has gone wrong. She cannot hide her anger, although she tries to maintain a face that radiates false joy. The main character and Shart are presented as an ideal couple. The Duke and his bride are admired by all those gathered. They are compared to a star that guards the empire and a pure white flower that symbolizes purity and nobility. The girls around are discussing the couple. Ariana is the Duke's fiancée, and everyone present notices how beautiful they look together. People can't help but admire. Some are even jealous. Their words are full of delight. Count Born's daughter notices that all eyes are on them, but Shart doesn't seem to attach much importance to it. He doesn't care about the opinions of others. It's more important for him to be with her and fulfill his duties. The young aristocrat approaches her mother and expresses gratitude when she offers to introduce her to the right people. Shart stands aside, watching the proceedings, clearly not particularly interested in small talk, but still supporting his bride. Ariana's memories include moments when she was sloppy and carefree. These images contrast sharply with her current image of a noble and stately lady who carries herself with confidence and knows how to make the right impression. At one point, Ariana acted like a child, carefree and sincere. She could easily show her true nature, but she also knew how to protect herself and stand up to ill-wishers, demonstrating strength and determination. In another situation, Ariana recalls how she often stood up for herself, not being shy about expressing her dissatisfaction or disappointment. Her emotions were often intense, and she was not afraid to show her true feelings, even if they seemed inappropriate. Now, Ariana looks completely different. She has become a mature and experienced aristocrat. Her manners are impeccable, her smile is dazzling, and her behavior is worthy of imitation. This image attracts attention and commands respect. Shart looks at Ariana with surprise and a slight smile. He understands that in front of him is a girl with an unusual character and a complex nature. She seems strange to him, but this strangeness only increases his interest and admiration for her. Layla, a girl with pink hair, is informed that the second prince is waiting for the Duke of Shart. The Duke calmly replies that he will be there soon, indicating his willingness to meet. The atmosphere between the characters is tense, and Layla's slight concern can be felt. Lady Dahlia watches Shart alone, away from Layla, which makes her surprised and slightly worried. She knows something is going on behind her back, and this makes her suspicious. Dahlia looks worried, as if she senses that the situation may take an unexpected turn. Layla meets Lady Dahlia, who is surprised to see her. Dahlia obviously did not expect to see Layla at this event, and expresses her doubts that she will show up at all. Layla senses the tension building and realizes that she was not expected here. Layla confidently replies that she had no reason not to come. Her gaze is full of determination and hidden challenge. She is not going to leave or give in to Dahlia's influence. Lady Dahlia is slightly embarrassed and realizes that she underestimated Layla's self-confidence. Lady Dahlia mockingly states that Layla is always in the right place at the right time, emphasizing her displeasure and implicit threat. This statement makes Layla feel pressured and shows that Dahlia does not want her near Shart. Layla angrily asks what Dahlia means. Her reaction shows growing irritation and discontent. Layla's emotions are boiling inside, and she is ready to defend her rights and place next to the Duke, despite the pressure from those around her. Layla's inner voice indicates that she still believes that she should become a duchess and acts as if she already is. She realizes that reality is cruel. The Duke's fiancé is Ariana Borns, and all her dreams are crumbling. Layla remembers how she used to have people around her who supported her, echoing her every word. She was the center of attention and believed that she had a bright future. But now everything has changed, and Layla feels like her world is falling apart. The news of Shart's marriage has changed the attitude towards Layla dramatically. She sits alone, realizing that the people who used to support her have now turned their backs. Layla feels abandoned and deceived by her expectations and illusions. Layla acknowledges the bitter truth. In this world, power decides everything, and she is only the daughter of a country baron. She understands her situation and realizes that all her hopes and dreams were in vain. Layla bitterly resigns herself to reality, realizing that her ambitions were shattered by a cruel world. Layla realizes that, thanks to her father's friendship with the Duke of Shart's mother, she can use these connections to her advantage. This discovery gives her the opportunity to change her destiny by turning an old relationship into a strategic asset. She decides that using these connections correctly will allow her to become part of the ducal family, perhaps even take the place of the Duchess. Layla sees her path clearly, realizing that success requires her to be cunning and manipulative. Layla has ambitious plans to reach the top of the social ladder using her charm and influence. She dreams of becoming a leading figure in high society where no one can hinder her or neglect her wishes. However, all these plans existed until Ariana, a girl with white hair, appeared on the horizon. Her appearance became a threat to Layla's ambitions, because Ariana also claims the attention and favor of the Duke of Shart. Layla feels angry and disappointed, realizing that perhaps she shouldn't have come here. Her resolve wavers as she watches Ariana attract the looks and approval of those around her, especially those Layla would like to see on her side. She confidently assesses those around her, calling them a lost bunch of aristocrats. She is clearly not impressed by the society she finds herself in, and is not going to bend to its rules, demonstrating her independence and strength. The start of an important event is announced, and everyone's attention shifts to the solemn moment. Layla feels the tension growing and understands that she will have to fight not only for recognition, but also for survival in this world of intrigue. The Emperor and Empress enter the room, followed by the Crown Princes and Princesses, and Crown Prince Rudin. All eyes are on the royal family, and Layla realizes that her ambitions extend beyond personal relationships to larger political games. Before the ball begins, Layla meets with Rudin and Shart. The conversation turns to Count Borns, who, although neutral in public, may be plotting behind their backs. Layla senses that every step will be decisive in her struggle for power and influence in this complex world. Rudin looks worried and admits that he is in an awkward position. He is unsure of his actions and needs support, which makes him slightly irritated and doubtful of his decisions. His lordship, with a knowing smile, assures Rudin that he understands his concerns and promises that nothing bad will happen. He demonstrates confidence and determination to maintain order despite all the difficulties. Ruedin doubts Shart's words, pointing out the obvious danger ahead of them. He cannot understand how one can be so confident when the threat is so close. Shart, however, replies that one must think more broadly and see more possibilities. The nobleman assures that Ariana has the will to change everything. His calmness and confidence in her powers reinforce his belief in a positive outcome. Shart is ready to support Ariana, even if he has to go against general expectations. The main character made a deal using Bourne's ledger as a bargaining chip. She is determined to use this ledger to weaken the Crown Prince's power. Her determination and cunning give her strength in this game of power. Rudin is surprised to realize that he was initially thinking about the girl who was recommended as the Crown Prince's mistress, but now he understands her real intentions and plans. He feels like he missed something important, and now this unexpected discovery changes his perception of the situation. Count Bourne's daughter meets Shart and asks where he has been. She is clearly concerned about his absence. Shart apologizes, explaining that he had urgent business. There is tension between them, but also concern for each other. Rudin discusses future plans with Shart, asking if he plans to get a divorce immediately after the contract ends. The issue of heirs comes up repeatedly, and Rudin is clearly concerned about how this will affect future developments. The black-haired Duke replies that he only allows himself what is written in the contract, and admits that he has no feelings for Ariana. His cold confession and unwillingness to go beyond the agreement highlights his dedication to the cause and the contract, but also his internal struggle. The Emperor gratefully receives the guests and announces the introduction of the honored guests of the ball, which gives the event a solemn atmosphere. Among the guests, Prince Paku stands out, having arrived from the powerful empire of Keltman. His appearance arouses interest and tension among those present. Prince Paku gratefully responds to the warm welcome, hinting at the importance of his visit to the Harpian Empire. His confidence and charm attract the attention of everyone around him, especially Duke Shart and his companion Ariana, who are watching the events unfold with great attention. The young noblewoman notices a man with gray hair, who turns out to be Prince Paku himself. This fact surprises and puzzles her. She begins to guess the political importance of the Keltman's visit, and her thoughts gradually become filled with anxiety. Meanwhile, Shart ponders the political tensions between the two empires. He realizes that the Emperor has recognized Keltman as an empire, and this worries him about the possible consequences for his country. The Duke realizes that if Harpian refused to recognize Keltman as an empire, it could lead to war. He tries to anticipate possible diplomatic moves that could lead to disaster. She expresses her doubts about the Keltman's presence at the ball, wondering what brought them there at such an important moment. She shares her thoughts with Shart, and their conversation becomes increasingly tense. Shart shares his assumption that the purpose of the Keltman's visit is to sign a friendly agreement. However, his doubts do not disappear, and he continues to analyze the situation, preparing for possible unexpected turns of events. The main character, watching what is happening, understands that the Keltmans did not just decide to conclude an agreement with Harpian, which is already going through hard times. She realizes that this can have serious consequences for the entire empire. Count Bourne's daughter and Chart come to the conclusion that war may indeed be closer than they thought. Their faces express alarm, and they begin to prepare for possible actions that could save their country from the imminent threat. Two men discuss the Keltman ambassadors, whom they consider barbarians. They express displeasure at the Emperor receiving such guests and question their civility, indicating that their presence is divisive. A young aristocrat watches the proceedings with a man in military uniform. At the same time, the atmosphere in the hall becomes tense, and some nobles begin to react hostilely to the guests, demonstrating the growing tension. Lady Sozime is concerned that the attitude towards the imperial family is becoming disrespectful. She speculates that the behavior of the guests and some of the event participants is breaking etiquette, creating further conflicts. Lady Namine is displeased and outraged by Ariana's behavior. She accuses her of threatening her and clearly has no intention of putting up with her presence, causing a direct confrontation between them. Namaine continues to accuse Ariana, implying that she is infatuated with the barbarian and expressing disdain for her preferences. Sozime tries to justify herself, which causes awkwardness and discomfort, reflecting the tense relationship between the characters. She suddenly appears next to Sozime, showing her friendliness and affability. She emphasizes that she hasn't seen Sozime for a long time and is interested in her affairs, which brings an element of surprise and embarrassment. Lady Namine and Lady Amen introduce themselves to Ariana. Namine says she is the daughter of Count Zvern, and Amen introduces herself as the second daughter of Viscount Taraz. Their formal exchange displays classic elements of aristocratic manners and familiarity. The protagonist overhears Namine and Amen's conversation and expresses interest in the discussion. She invites them to share the conversation, which underlines her desire to establish contact and reduce tension in the group. Namine talks about the discussion of the Keltman ambassadors and mentions that Lady Sozime said something outrageous. This adds fuel to the fire, escalating the situation and creating a new wave of discontent among those present. Namine, as a citizen of the Harpian Empire, expresses confusion over the barbarians' recognition. She believes that their desire to declare themselves an empire is driven by a thirst for victory and does not understand how their aggressive ambitions can be ignored, thus emphasizing her loyalty to the imperial ideals and her disdain for aggressors. Count Born's daughter points out the presence of Lady Namine and Lady Amen in the hall, reminding them that their invitation came from the emperor. She emphasizes the importance of their presence at the reception held in honor of the guests from Keltman. The young aristocrat persistently questions how anyone can allow themselves to speak unflattering words about the emperor's honored guests, especially when the emperor himself recognized them as equals, thereby escalating the situation. She points out with cold confidence that such words are tantamount to an insult to the emperor himself. She says this with dignity and a veiled threat, forcing the others to reflect on their behavior. She reiterates the need to be careful in your words and actions towards guests, emphasizing the importance of etiquette and respect. The main character, with a slight smile, notes that she did not expect to meet someone with a different opinion in the garrison. Her words sound like a hidden challenge, and her eyes show interest in the development of events. Paku brings his charismatic energy to the conversation when greeting the ladies. He exudes confidence and nobility. His presence noticeably influences the atmosphere and balance of power. Count Borns' daughter points out to Paku his indecent behavior, eavesdropping on other people's conversations, calling it rudeness. Paku apologizes with a smile, admitting his mistake. Paku, trying to defuse the situation, begins to complain about pain in his jaw and asks Ariana a funny question about the possible cause of his ailment, hinting at his clumsiness. The young noblewoman teases Paku gracefully, suggesting that his jaw reacts to the weather due to his age. Her eyes sparkle with hidden mischief, making it clear that she does not take him seriously. Paku laughs and admits that he is only 21, thus diffusing the situation completely. His lightness and openness make the others smile, ending the scene on a positive note. She thanks Lady Sozime for her help, but she brushes it off, saying it's nothing special. Ariana understands that it's time to go to Earl Hart, but feels a little nervous before the meeting. In the beautiful hall, Ariana notices that she has never met a man before. He introduces himself, and a tense atmosphere arises between them. She acts confidently, although she does not quite understand what is happening. The man, introducing himself as Glock's father, is trying to impress Ariana with his status. He clearly wants to establish authority in the conversation, but his manner seems cold and stern. A young man, Glock, the man's son, appears and expresses regret that his acquaintance with Ariana has dragged on. Ariana realizes that Glock's father is the same man with whom she had an unpleasant experience at the shooting range. The main character immediately notices the resemblance between Glock and his father, and is slightly amused. She maintains her politeness when greeting Count Colt, but there is a hidden mockery in her voice. Count Colt tries to take Ariana somewhere quiet to talk. His intentions seem suspicious, and he insists on privacy, which Ariana does not like. Count Born's daughter resolutely refuses the Count, stating that she has a fiancé and that a private conversation would be inappropriate. She maintains her dignity, leaving the Count perplexed. The Count insists that Ariana go to the shooting range and cancel the results he doesn't like. He becomes aggressive, insisting on his own, and his expression becomes threatening. The young noblewoman smiles, but there is a challenge in her eyes. She makes it clear that she will not submit to the whims of the Count. The situation heats up, but Ariana remains unperturbed. The Count loses his temper, yelling at Ariana that this shouldn't be happening. His face contorts with anger, but Ariana remains calm, keeping the situation under control, irritating the Count even more. Count Colt is outraged that a woman could beat a man in a shooting match, believing the fight to be unfair. He demands the results be overturned, banning further participation of women in the Imperial shooting range. His indignation turns to rage, and he does not hide his contempt. She, holding back a smile, reminds that the competition was held according to the rules of the Imperial shooting gallery and under the supervision of an inspector, with the written consent of the parties. Her confidence and calm irritate the Count, who does not expect such confidence from her. The main character confidently states that everything was according to the rules and asks what is wrong with it. Her composure is emphasized by the light colors around her, creating a contrast with the seething emotions of Count Colt, who seems to be losing his composure. Count Colt tries to justify himself by saying that everyone thought it would not be a woman who would do the shooting. He is perplexed by how anyone could imagine that a woman could do such a thing. His rage and indignation only highlight the stereotypes and prejudices he has about Ariana. Ariana, without losing her composure, laughs, commenting that even at such a young age, Count Colt behaves like a child who ran to complain to his father. The Count is shocked by her words, not understanding how she can respond so freely and easily to his attacks, hurting his pride. The young aristocrat remarks with a slight smile that neither the Count nor his son seem to possess common sense. Her sharp wit and insight put the Count in an awkward position, and he finds no words to adequately respond to her jab. Ruiden intervenes in the conversation, trying to diffuse the situation. He notes that the atmosphere around has become so tense that it can be felt physically. His calm and easy speech contrasts with Count Colt's fury and Ariana's composure. Ruiden asks in surprise why Count Colt is so taken aback. His casual tone suggests that he sees no reason for such a heated debate, and his indifference only adds to the effect of Ariana's words, making the Count feel outnumbered. Meanwhile, Duke Chart informs Count Borns that his daughter has recently had an accident at the theater. Count Borns is alarmed by this news, and his concern is obvious. Chart emphasizes that this incident is not an accident, hinting at some hidden motives. His lordship reveals that the culprit is a man who holds a grudge against the Borns. He has harmed the lady, which causes alarm and anger in Count Borns. The Duke emphasizes the seriousness of the situation, showing that this attack is only the beginning of something more dangerous and insidious. Count Borns, with a thoughtful look and a glass of wine in his hand, asks when the change occurred. As a father, he does not hide his surprise, and has difficulty finding the right words, reflecting on his desire to keep Ariana at home, which underlines his care and affection. The Count questions Chart, trying to understand why Ariana rarely went outside. Chart replies that he was always busy with work at home, and Ariana rarely got to go out except for volunteering at shelters, which explains her isolation. The nobleman realizes that it was his lifestyle that made Ariana so surprised by ordinary walks. This simple joy, which was not available to her, made her seek the opportunity to try everything that others do, adding melancholy to his thoughts. She, with a soft and thoughtful look, remembers how every little moment of joy was something special for her. Her joy in little things becomes a symbol of the limitations of the freedom granted to her by the Count and her inner melancholy. Reflecting, Chart comes to the conclusion that Count Borns was the one who deprived Ariana of her freedom. These reflections plunge him into a sense of guilt and the realization of his role in Ariana being deprived of the simple pleasures of life. The black-haired Duke realizes that he is not sure if he can give Ariana everything she deserves. However, he is determined to strive for it, wondering where she is now and feeling the need to bring her back to him. Ruiden suddenly approaches the group Chart is in and asks why the prince was near the betrothed lady, implying a possible violation of etiquette or personal boundaries. The Duke calmly explains that he was talking to Count Borns, discussing topics of interest to him. Raiden confirms that this is what caught his attention, and he decided to come over to join in the conversation. Count Borns feels uneasy and decides to leave, citing urgent matters. His hasty departure surprises those present, including Ariana, who seemed to have expected such a reaction from her father. The protagonist speaks anxiously to Shart, asking what he did to her father. Her voice is full of worry and anticipation of an answer, showing how important this conversation and what follows is to her. Shart asks Ariana to dance, surprising her. He looks determined, and his eyes show his seriousness, even though the offer came out of the blue. Ariana is confused, but her eyes soften as she responds. Count Borns' daughter readily accepts Chart's invitation, adding a tender smile to the moment she playfully raises a finger to her lips, clearly enjoying the situation. Her violet eyes glow with warmth and mischief. His lordship admires how Ariana's smile shines, comparing it to the girl herself, who is just as charming and beautiful. His words clearly touch her, and in response, she gives him a sincere, joyful smile, illuminating the room even more. The Emperor applauds, confirming that the spectacle he has seen is truly amazing. He expresses his admiration, stating that his eyes did not deceive him. His gestures indicate that he highly appreciates what is happening before him. The Emperor decides that it is time for an important announcement. He announces an upcoming hunting competition that the imperial family is organizing. His serious look emphasizes the importance of this event. The Emperor adds that the competition is being held especially for Prince Paku of Keltman. Paku bows with a slight smile, expressing his gratitude. His elegant attire and calm confidence add a special solemnity to the moment. The Emperor announces that each family will receive an invitation to the competition to receive detailed information. He hopes that everyone will participate, urging everyone to enjoy the rest of the evening. His words create an atmosphere of anticipation and celebration. The young aristocrat, now in a calmer environment, reads the document. She notices that, as expected, there are no changes. Her gaze remains confident and calm, as if everything is going according to her plan. There is determination on her face, reflected in a slight smile. She reflects that participation in the competition has always been limited to the nobility of the empire. Her eyes, looking into the distance, are full of thoughtfulness and anticipation, as if she is planning something important and preparing for something greater. Layla prepares for a day of hunting. Despite her maid's advice to change into more comfortable clothes, she decides to endure the discomfort in order to look bright, remembering her recent disgrace at the ball. Layla is determined to steal the show to make up for the embarrassment she felt at the ball. She feels she must be more flamboyant than usual today, and not let anyone criticize her choice of attire. The nobleman has already arrived, and the maid is wondering whether to tell Lila. Lila reasons that as the Duke's bride, she must be the most extravagant at this event, so that all eyes are on her. When Shart sees Layla in her outfit, he is shocked. He exclaims about her choice of clothing, pointing out its obvious inappropriateness and inconvenience for hunting, wondering why she did not follow his advice to change. Ariana appears on stage, elegant and confident, apologizing for the delay. Her appearance attracts everyone's attention. Unlike Layla, she looks reserved, but still attractive and impressive. The protagonist explains that she was delayed due to a difficult choice of weapons, which causes confusion in Layla. Layla is confused, not understanding how the choice of weapons can be so important in such a situation. Count Born's daughter happily explains that she was choosing a weapon to participate in a hunting competition. Layla is shocked and stunned by this unexpected turn of events, realizing that her preparation was completely inadequate. The black-haired Duke asks Ariana if she really intends to participate in the competition. Surprised by her determination, Ariana confidently replies that as a noblewoman of the empire, she has every right to participate, and her determination is beyond doubt. The young aristocrat looks forward boldly, full of confidence in her abilities, while Layla remains confused and insecure, realizing that her vanity and wrong priorities can play a cruel joke on her. She, understanding Shart's anxiety, gently reassures him, hoping for his trust and support. She urges him to keep an eye on her, letting him know that she is determined and ready to take action. The Duke reflects on how nobles usually do not need to prove their worth, as status is inherited. He wonders how this applies to Ariana, who is eager to prove her worth in society. However, because Ariana is a woman, she cannot inherit power by law. Despite this, she is determined to change the situation and prove her worth to everyone, despite the limitations. Ariana's plan is too unconventional and unusual for the usual foundations. Many around her see her actions as a threat and try to stop her, not understanding her true motives and determination. Shart, despite the surrounding attempts to stop Ariana, considers whether he should intervene. He hesitates, not wanting to break her resolve, but also worries about the possible consequences. His lordship decides to support Ariana. He looks forward to the moment when her efforts will be recognized and everyone will see her true value. He is filled with respect for her tenacity and courage. The main character promises Shartu to bring him glory and victory. She is confident in her abilities and is ready to prove it to the world, which causes him a warm and supportive feeling. The nobleman, hearing her words, smiles and laughs. He is also determined and looks forward to the moment when their common goals are achieved. Their trust in each other grows stronger. The servants who happen to witness this exchange are astonished that the Duke of Chart, usually cold and distant, suddenly laughs. This event surprises them, causing them to whisper about his change. The Harpian Empire hosts a hunting competition. This event is of great importance to the empire and is only held at important times. The prizes for winning are unique and match the scale of the competition. One of these prizes is the title of Baron, which makes the competition even more significant. For many nobles, it is a real chance to rise in status, especially in the empire, where titles are passed on to the eldest sons. However, this title has never been awarded to a woman, which causes certain doubts and prejudices among those present. The situation heats up when a girl with white hair appears on stage. The audience is shocked. No one expected to see a woman in the arena, and questions and complaints begin to arise. The identity of this mysterious participant quickly becomes a topic of discussion. One of those present realizes that this is the daughter of Borns, a famous aristocrat. This fact surprises the audience even more because no one expected such a turn of events. Count Gordon expresses his indignation at her participation. He cannot believe that Duke Kalen allows a woman to represent his family and participate in such an important event. The Count continues to press the Duke, threatening that if Kalen does not correct the situation, it could ruin his family's reputation. The unrest grows, and the stakes become even higher. However, Chart, the black-haired Duke, coolly explains that his fiancée has every right to participate on behalf of the Borns, and her attire is entirely appropriate for the event. Count Gordon is shocked. He cannot accept the fact that a woman will participate in a hunting competition. His anger only grows, and he considers this to be complete nonsense. The final scene confirms the shock of the audience. No one could have imagined that this competition would involve more than just men. The situation escalates, and Shart and Ariana prepare for the test. The Emperor is outraged by the noise that has arisen on an important day and demands an explanation. The servants embarrassedly report that all the commotion arose from a discussion of the behavior of Lady Ariana, who caused a stir with her actions. Count Gordon bows before the Emperor, explaining that the cause of the unrest was the appearance and behavior of Ariana, who came to an official event in trousers and announced her intention to participate in the competition. This caused shock among all those present. Gordon exclaims that this has never happened in history. A woman appeared in men's clothing and still intends to compete with men. His indignation increases when he wonders if this makes any sense at all. The noise around the situation only grows. All those present begin to actively discuss the incident. Some raise the question, what to do with this unusual statement of Ariana? The Emperor listens, but expresses slight dissatisfaction and fatigue from what is happening. The Emperor turns to Ariana firmly, ordering her to raise her head and asking if she really wants to participate in the competition. He clearly wants to hear a clear answer and know her intentions. Count Born's daughter confidently confirms her intentions, noting that the official document of the Empire states that all nobles can participate, without mentioning gender restrictions. Her courage and firmness inspire respect from those present. The emperor considers this for a moment, then agrees that the rules do not prohibit women from participating. He gently reminds them that any nobleman may participate in these competitions, regardless of gender. Gordon, however, is still shocked. A woman in a hunting competition is unthinkable. He tries to convince the emperor that such a precedent is unacceptable, confusing those around him who support his point of view. Despite the protests, the emperor firmly points out that there is no law prohibiting women from participating in the competition, and this is enough to allow Ariana to carry out her plans. He intends to put an end to further discussions. The emperor sternly ends the conversation, emphasizing that he will not allow any more noise to be made on this issue. He closes the dispute with his authority, emphasizing that the decision taken is final. The emperor looks at Ariana and expresses his hope that she will live up to expectations. His gaze is stern, and the tension in the air underlines the importance of the moment. Ariana feels the weight of these words, realizing how much depends on her. The emperor appears to be an unshakable man who has strengthened the order in the empire. However, those around him wonder whether his latest decision is a momentary whim because his actions seem unexpected. Ariana values the emperor's approval. She reflects that even if his decision does not quite meet her expectations, his recognition is enough for her, which brings her inner satisfaction. During a hunting competition, the question of its symbolic decoration comes up. This event is accompanied by a tradition in which women pass handkerchiefs to men with wishes for good luck in the competition. The young man excitedly hands Ariana a handkerchief, promising to do his best to justify her efforts. His gesture, full of sincerity, brings warm feelings to the competitive atmosphere. Her friend, seeing this, bitterly recalls that she has not given the scarf to anyone for a long time. Her thoughts are full of regret and slight envy, because such moments are filled with personal symbolism and meaning. She muses that this tradition used to be a gesture exclusively between women and men, but perhaps Ariana hasn't received a single scarf yet, which gives Madeline pause. The young aristocrat suddenly notices her brother, Navier. His appearance at the event surprises her, because she did not expect to see him there. A short but meaningful exchange of glances takes place between them. Navier explains that he came to wish his sister luck in winning. His support is expressed through this symbolic gesture, and for Ariana, it becomes an unexpectedly important moment. When Ariana asks why he is handing her the handkerchief, Navier jokingly replies that no one else would do that. The moment between them is filled with warmth and brotherly care. She, with her cold eyes and white hair, is intrigued by how Navier knew about her participation in the upcoming event. She clearly did not expect her presence to be so obvious, and her questions are filled with suspicion. Navier, her cousin, confidently explains that he learned of her invitation through her own mansion, where it was received. This bold statement shows his knowledge and closeness to Ariana's affairs. The conversation continues, and Madeline, her maid, suddenly sets the record straight by revealing that she has taken the invitation herself. This adds humor to the situation and highlights her vigilance and devotion to her mistress. The main character remains dissatisfied, not understanding why her brother is waiting for official letters in their house if they could be received at his residence. Her words betray fatigue from Navier's obsessive behavior. Already losing patience, Ariana sarcastically remarks that her brother's stupidity will only be justified if he stays. With these words, she decides to leave, taking the handkerchief with her, leaving her brother to his thoughts. Navier, remaining in place, expresses his affection for his sister, promising to await her return. Ariana and Madeline make final preparations, exchanging taunts about their appearance and skills. The assistant reminds Ariana of her successful confrontation with Sir Glock of the Colt family, but Ariana, full of confidence in her abilities, takes it for granted. Ariana's mind flashes to the image of her opponent, who ran away immediately upon seeing her. She wonders how such a coward could be considered the best marksman in the Empire, and her mockery adds to the sting of her image. Meanwhile, Ariana decides to focus on the competition, completely suppressing her doubts. Her confidence and determination shine in her eyes. She is ready for the challenge. The Emperor announces the imminent start of the competition, emphasizing that almost all the participants have gathered. Ariana prepares for her performance. confident in her strength and ability to win. At the celebration in honor of Prince Paku, the guests discuss preparations for the upcoming competition. Shart and Ariana show respect for the prince and hope that all participants will give their all, as they are expected to fight fairly, worthy of such an event. Ruiden, with a dazzling smile, interrupts the preparations to add a bit of intrigue and eccentricity to the day. His impulsive nature is evident in the way he asks everyone to wait, having a surprise in store for the assembled group. He reveals his plans, saying that he wants to add some color to today. With his enigmatic smile, Ruiden promises to show something special and watches with curiosity the reactions of all participants, clearly enjoying the moment. Ruiden decides to dilute the traditions and offers something new, a hunt for a rare animal. His cunning idea captivates all participants because no one expected such a turn of events, and now intrigue is in the air. Confusion arises among the guests. No one understands what kind of beast is being talked about. Shart and the others begin to discuss what Ruiden might be hiding, and the atmosphere becomes even more tense. Ruiden enjoys the attention and promises to lift the veil of secrecy. He hints that catching the beast will not be easy, but that great glory awaits the winner. This creates a sense of competition, with more at stake than just the hunt. He adds a hint. The beast will be distinguished by a golden ribbon. Those who manage to catch it will become the real winners of this unusual competition, which causes a wave of discussion and anticipation among the participants. Ruiden reassures everyone, reminding them that if the animal is not caught, the scoring will proceed as usual. But his manner of presentation only fuels the excitement, and everyone eagerly awaits the start of the hunt, full of hope for success. Ruiden reflects on what makes him so happy. Two things bring him joy: causing trouble for others and watching someone suffer. This gives his character a sinister edge. Count Born's daughter bursts into the room and exclaims that she urgently needs Duke Chart's help. Her agitated appearance and decisive tone make him tense up. He clearly did not expect such an address. The situation escalates, and he reacts to what is happening with bewilderment. At this point, Ruiden appears, panicking and asking Shart to go with him to the Imperial Palace. The Duke looks puzzled and tries to find out what happened. Ruiden's agitation is noticeable, but Shart has not yet received an answer to his questions. Ruiden, clearly embarrassed, apologizes and promises to explain later. His eyes are filled with worry, and he hopes for Shart's support, even though he can't provide details of what's going on right now. The mystery only adds to the tension. The young aristocrat tries to reassure Shart, insisting that she will be fine. Her self-confidence is felt in every word, and she literally tries to convince him not to worry about her and to continue his work. However, Shart insists that he cannot leave her alone. It is important for him to be sure that Ariana is safe, because it is his duty to protect her. Despite her confidence, he cannot fully trust the situation. She reflects on how his concern is so obvious. She gets the feeling that Shart genuinely wants to support her, but she feels that his presence could cause unnecessary rumors about their close relationship. She fears that staying with Shart without a good reason will arouse suspicion in others. She wants to preserve her reputation, but she still doesn't want to interrupt what's brewing between them, fearing rumors about the legitimacy of their interactions. The main character assures Shart that she will only hunt at the entrance and asks him not to worry. She tries to encourage him and assures him that she will return as soon as everything is over. Her self-confidence is shown in her calm speech. The black-haired Duke warns her sternly not to go beyond the red line of the forest. He wants to make sure that Ariana stays in the safe zone, and he expresses his concerns directly. Ruiden looks tense at this point, feeling responsible for everything that is happening. Count Born's daughter assures Shart that she will never cross the red lines of the forest. However, an idea arises in her mind that this is where she needs to go. This is her secret plan, which she does not intend to reveal directly, but makes it clear that she has a goal. Navier slams his fist on the table in anger, blaming Roland for his problems. He is worried that his plans are being thwarted by this little bastard, and his frustration reaches its peak. Navier's internal struggle is tearing him apart. Navier reflects that if his brother had not taken the important document, he would not have had to leave Ariana alone in a dangerous situation. His concern for his sister increases, and the feeling of responsibility haunts him. He begins to think that if the Baron chose an heir, it would bring relief not only to him, but also to Ariana. His plans to participate in this process evoke strong emotions and hopes for a better future. Navier is deep in thought. He just wanted to be the family member that Ariana could rely on. It is his motivation, the desire to prove his worth, that makes him vulnerable, which makes the reader feel sorry for him. He admits to himself that he is exhausted. He feels that he needs to do a lot to win, but his strength is running out. At this point, he is devastated, which is emphasized by his depressed state and his constricted posture. Despite his weakness, Navier realizes that he should worry more about Ariana than anyone else. This realization makes him more determined, but the worry for his sister's fate does not go away. In a conversation with the prince, Navier recalls that he reported the decision in favor of the honorable beast. This is important news that should influence further events, and Navier evaluates it with excitement. Watching his sister overcome her challenges, Navier is proud of her skills. He can only hope that she will be able to catch the one they are looking for. Navier's sisterly skills give him his last hope. A young aristocrat sets out into the wild beast zone, hoping to find something special. She watches the forest with determination, hoping for the success of her hunt, knowing that it was a great decision despite the possible dangers. She expected to meet an honorable beast, but suddenly a small white animal with a huge yellow bow appears in front of her. It does not meet her expectations at all, and looks more like a pet than a formidable predator. Suddenly, wolves emerge from the shadows of the forest, changing the atmosphere. Ariana realizes that the situation is becoming dangerous and wonders if the wolves should be here at all. The wolves lurking nearby clearly pose a threat to her and her prey. Meanwhile, the palace is in turmoil. Servants and guards are running around looking for Amelia, shouting her name loudly and wondering where she could have hidden. The tension is mounting as everyone tries to figure out what is going on. The Duke and the other servants discuss how Amelia is not in either the east or west wings of the palace. The Duke orders every corner to be checked, insisting that she must be somewhere nearby. Panic begins to spread throughout the palace, as no one knows where the girl might be. Shard appears confused and upset, trying to understand why Amelia cannot be found. He suspects that she is deliberately hiding and speaks of this with confusion, as if he feels responsible for her disappearance. Ruiden, worried about the situation, looks worried and admits that his assumption may sound strange. He begins to share his guesses, feeling that something is wrong, but does not reveal his thoughts completely yet, waiting for the Duke's reaction. Ruiden reveals his concerns, speaking of an honorable beast that has never been in these parts before, and his displeasure. He clearly feels that something important is escaping his attention, and Shart's face, which seems pleased, only adds fuel to the fire. Ruiden remembers the moment when Shart looked at him with joy, talking about the beast. He understands that Shart's joy is not connected with success, but with his, Ruiden's, misfortune. These thoughts wash over him with a wave of anger and disappointment, because he feels that he has become the object of someone else's ridicule. His dark-haired lordship is depicted against the backdrop of a palace, his face cold and distant. He appears to be a man with a broken soul, forced to hide his emotions and make decisions driven by cruelty and necessities. Ruiden, a blond man with an icy gaze, is shown in a dark setting holding a dagger. His actions symbolize betrayal. He is ready to stab someone in the back without feeling remorse. His ruthlessness and immorality frighten those around him. No one dared to stand up to Ruiden, regardless of his actions. He never apologized and acted decisively, without regard for the opinions of others. The card covered in blood symbolizes the destruction he brings with his desire for power. The main character holds an animal, her gaze full of tenderness and warmth. She is an important member of Ruiden's family, and seems to be a bright spot in his life. Ariana's presence gives Ruiden short moments of peace in his dark world. The daughter of Count Borns was named after Empress Milia, Ruiden's mother. This underlines her importance and deep connection to the royal family, making her a special and revered figure among those close to the throne. Empress Milia, holding the infant Ruiden in her arms, is depicted at the moment when she first learned that her child would be the heir to the imperial blood. This moment was full of anxiety and foreboding about the future. Milia learned of her condition and was alarmed to find that she was carrying a child of imperial blood. This revelation left her